Hi, Jeff from a Cutting Edge Gallery of Jewelry, and I'm here to talk about lab diamonds, guys. No matter what it is, an engagement ring, a pair of earrings, a diamond pendant. You come to a Cutting Edge where we guarantee you the biggest, whitest, brightest diamond no matter what your budget. And now you're going to save money on the mounting besides. You get to pick between 2,600 mountings to find the perfect ring for her, and we're going to match it up with the perfect diamond that fits your budget. A Cutting Edge Gallery of Jewelry.
Are you an electrician? Are you looking for a change? JDP Electric is looking for commercial, industrial, and service electricians. JDP is looking for both journeyman and apprentice electricians. You could start your career today with a family-owned and operated business who's been serving our community for over 20 years. Full-time positions available with great pay and benefits. Call 701-232-1991 or email info@jdpelectric.net. Start your new tomorrow today. Come be a part of the JDP difference.
Other value menus have burritos, maybe even nachos. But only Taco John's Valuist menu has the cheese-loving audacity to put nachos inside a burrito. With crunchy tortilla chips, creamy nacho cheese, and zesty sauces, our new Nacho Crunch burritos pack 2 melty faves into one. Try them with seasoned beef for just $2, or grilled chicken for $3. This might be our cheesiest menu ever. The Valuist menu, only at Taco John's. Bigger, bolder, better. Download our app, earn free food.
Hi, Chad here from Minnesota Warehouse Furniture and Mattress, located in the heart of Lakes Country. We're the land of over 10,000 sleeps. We have helped our customers and their families rest easy for over 40 years, which is why year after year we've been voted the Lakes Country's best place to buy a mattress. At Minnesota Warehouse Furniture and Mattress, you get the best value on name brand mattresses and the best service. We have a large assortment of mattresses including memory foam and hybrids. It's worth the drive to Minnesota Warehouse Furniture and Mattress, located in Earhart, Minnesota. No frills, just big savings so you can rest easy.
Stop by Gateway Chevrolet and check out their great selection of in-stock Chevy cars and trucks ready for immediate delivery. Take advantage of invoice pricing on new 2023 Chevrolet Equinox and invoice pricing on new 2023 Chevrolet Silverados only at Gateway Chevrolet. Plus, find out about 2.9% financing on select Chevrolet models. That's right, 2.9% on select Chevrolets and invoice pricing on 2023 Equinox and Silverados at Gateway Chevrolet. Find new roads. Details gatewayfargo.com.
KQWB, West Fargo, Fargo-Moorhead, and KPFX, HD3 Kindred, Bison 1660. Powered by Gateway Chevrolet, Cadillac, Nissan, and Hyundai in Fargo.
We are Fox Sports.
And here's what you need to know.
Breaking news ahead of today's NBA trade deadline as the Boston Celtics are acquiring Mike Muscala from the Oklahoma City Thunder in exchange for Justin Jackson and 2 second-round picks. Blockbuster trade overnight as the Brooklyn Nets trading Kevin Durant along with TJ Warren to the Phoenix Suns for 4 unprotected first-round picks and players Michael Bridges, Cam Johnson, and Jay Crowder. First-round picks come in the years 2023, 2025, 2027, and 2029. Another big move last night is the Lakers, Jazz, and Timberwolves pulled off a 3-team deal. LA's going to get D'Angelo Russell, Malik Beasley, and Jared Vanderbilt. Utah will receive Russell Westbrook, Juan Toscano-Anderson, Damian Jones, and a 2027 top 4 protected first-round pick from the Lakers. Minnesota will get Mike Conley and Nickeil Alexander-Walker. And the Knicks acquiring Josh Hart from the Portland Trail Blazers in exchange for 3 players, including Cam Reddish, and a protected 2023 first-round pick. I'm Kevin Wire.
You've got the insiders.
How you play today, from this moment on, is how you will be remembered.
That's what living is. That's right. The 6 inches in front of your face.
Bringing you what you need to know and a whole lot more. Topics you care about, guests you know, and the conversations you came to hear. The Insiders are presented by Proceed. Need seed? Think Proceed.
This is your time. Now go out there and take it.
Now, here are the Insiders.
The Insiders.
The Insiders.
The Insiders.
Insiders.
Rob Hipp and Andy Rickoff.
All right, well, here we go on a Thursday on the Insiders. Thanks for joining us. The Kyle Emanuel back in the Tharaldson Ethanol Broadcast Center. Rob Hipp here alongside Micah Bendy. Good to be back, man. It feels like it's been 24 hours.
I think it has. A little bit less, technically, but 23, 22 because of the
2 hours we had with the show. But yeah, good to be back.
Well, you always bring such positive energy in here, man. Some days you come in and you wake up.
Fake it till you make it, man.
Yeah, you get out of bed some days and you're just kind of like, I don't want to really get up today. But in this industry, we love our job, and it's not that. It's just other things happening sometimes. But, that was kind of me today. I kind of woke up, and I'm usually pretty happy-go-lucky. But I said, you know what, man? I need like a Kyle Emanuel Insiders today to kind of bring me up.
It was probably that 30-mile-an-hour wind out of the north. That's what did it to me. I woke up, and I was like, come on, are you kidding me? Like, I'm one of those people, like, I don't mind the cold. I don't mind the snow. I absolutely hate wind. Can't deal with it. Don't like it. And people are probably listening to this and be like, you're dumb. Why are you live in Fargo? Then you live in the wrong place. But, I still love the Fargo community. I don't like wind.
You've got like a throwback hoodie on today, by the way. Tell us about
Chargers. That. This is funny. I've had this for probably 6 years, and I have a bunch of old Charger stuff just kind of thrown in a bag downstairs. And I found this one. I was like, why have I not been wearing this? I found it like a month ago, and I've been wearing it ever since. Yeah, it's got the old throwback Chargers logo.
Like it. Well, we got a full show lined up today, as always. I mean, you say that every day, but we always have a pretty busy show lined up. We'll talk with NDSU wrestling coach Roger KIsh. He's coming on at 11:30 this morning, so we'll have him join us on the Epic Companies hotline. Also, I call him a friend of Bison 1660 now. Stone Labanowitz will chime in with us. He is the co-host of FCS Nation Radio, and he's also on air at ESPN West Palm Beach. He was a quarterback, too, in the FCS back in the day at Southern Illinois, and good to have him back on joining us. We kind of caught up with him at Frisco, and he's became somewhat of a regular on this show. He had some interesting thoughts when you were here last month about SDSU, Kyle.
He sure did. After the game, we had him on. I was in here with you. That was the last time I was in here, was the Monday after Frisco, which obviously wasn't a great day, and he mixed it up a little bit. Talk about, he came after NDSU and some of the things that they did in that game, which, hey, I understand it. Like, SDSU got after him. Like, you can't blame the guy. Obviously, I look at it a little bit differently than Stone probably does, but hey, I can respect his opinion.
He's bringing a little bit of heat. Everybody's entitled to their opinion as long as you're saying it within good confines, and he was.
He was, and I kind of got the idea. He was like, blow it up. Things aren't working there, man. Like, that's kind of the vibe I got. And I don't know if that's what he was trying to portray, but that's kind of the vibe I got. I was like, I don't know if you blow it up after you got second place, but okay, fair enough.
That's what I felt like, was like, change the entire scheme, redo it. But, everything at your core stays the same. But the wrinkles, as a player, like, the wrinkles are some of the things that sometimes change. But you don't change your core and totally revamp a program that's been successful for so long.
He's like, change your philosophy, how you recruit. Like, at least that's what I remember from it. I was like, whoa, okay. I don't know about all that, but like, hey, I respect your opinion. You can have that opinion. That's fine. Like, if you're not involved in the program, you don't know how it works and like the intricacies of it. Like, I guess I could see that from the outside perspective, but
maybe as a former quarterback, but he's been out for a while, so times have changed. But we'll have Stone. It's always good to have him on. We call him a friend of Bison 1660. He'll be on a Super Bowl prediction from the Kyle Emanuel. Bison great. Micah and I are not going to reveal our predictions yet. We will save that for tomorrow, but we will have your Super Bowl prediction today, Kyle, because you won't be with us tomorrow. Colt Jurek is going to come in here and try to take over that hot seat that you're in and see if he can outperform you.
I don't know about that.
I don't think so, Cole.
I already gave you you got to give him the comparison that I told you. I don't want to reveal it, but he'll like that. You know how we say like Bison great, Bison average, whatever. Like, just tell him what I told you, and we'll see how he reacts.
I think Micah, yours is the Bison above average as well. That's what we call is that yours?
I'm Bison above average. He's Bison great. Cole is Bison solid contributor.
Yeah,
that's what we clarified.
All right. We'll have to put those on an official board somewhere and, get that stenciled in.
Get him a name tag, so we could see it, like maybe like right in front of here, right in front of the Thoroldson ethanol sign right there, like Colt Jurek, have like a name tag for him, like a little card pointing to him that says Bison solid contributor.
It's funny you brought up name tags, and I don't know I'm going down this path, and I'll continue to talk about what else we're going to talk about, but you brought it up. Back in the day, some guys can relate to this. You go to a bar, and, Mike, our good buddy, works at a great place. There was name tags on the chairs at a local establishment in my hometown, and my dad's name got put on one of those chairs.
Like no one else could sit there?
Yeah, it was like his chair because he was there all the time. I gave him. I said, Dad, you're in here so much. They put your name on here.
But what if he wasn't there?
But he was.
He just was always.
Yeah, he was always there. But have you ever seen that? And this was at This was at an Applebee's. It was cool. And it wasn't like a piece of tape or they hand wrote a name. I mean, they spent some money getting it laser engraved, and so it was your regulars. It's not like he was going in there and getting tore up every day. I would go there for a while in my early 20s. I would go to a local bar almost nightly, and I wasn't going in there getting plastered. I would just go in there and sit down, and I became a regular at this local establishment in my early 20s.
Get the half-off apps.
Yeah, and I'd go in there and eat, and you talk, and it was a great time. But that Applebee's had the name tag, and it was engraved on a little gold card, and they had them throughout. You've never seen that
Texans
before?
Are different, man. No, I've never seen that before. The closest thing I can think of is at the local golf club in my hometown. You can bid on like the best parking spot, because when it gets crowded, like there's basically nowhere to park, or you got to park a little bit further away, so you can bid. But that's something you have to buy, you have to purchase, and you can get the best parking spot. That's the closest thing I can think of.
Yeah, well, that was just like an honor. I know in Texas, I don't know if they do it here, but the high school parking lots for like football players, when you're a senior, you get to paint your parking lot, that kind of stuff, cool. Which is really cool. Yeah. So they let them paint. It's some of the smaller schools. Anyways, well, we wanted to drift off, talk about that, but Kevin Durant, big news there in the NBA. We'll talk about that at the end of the show. We were a little NBA heavy yesterday, and we'll wait till the end of the show to talk about those trades, but a lot of momentum and things shifting as Kevin Durant was traded. That all happening overnight. Some of it a bit of a surprise, so we'll run down through that as well as the show wraps up later today. Wanted to get back into some Vikings discussion here this morning and throughout the day on the Insiders, talking about Vikings players who will benefit the most from new defensive coordinator Brian Flores. So we'll go through that. Got 3 or 4 players that I think are going to be a big benefit to having him on the team. We'll run down through that. Also, big games coming up tonight here at the Schill Center. Women are on the road, basketball. Men are here at home on Thursday, of course, taking on, getting started with the Omaha Mavericks. First fans to show up, they're going to get that Throwback Thursday, the Bison Pail. So get out to the Schill Center. We also got tickets that we're going to be giving away. Actually, 3 pair of tickets we'll be giving away to the game tonight. We'll come up with our poll of the day also. And then something that kind of stands up as well. And who wants to talk about tennis on the Insiders? Not me. Kyle, I know you're a big tennis fan, right? I'm not knocking tennis, all right?
But I'm not a huge tennis. I do like pickleball. I don't know if you ever played. That's another side tangent that we won't go down. But I do enjoy pickleball. It's similar.
You're starting to show your age, man. Pickleball.
Hey, man, once you gotta fill the void somehow. So I fill it with golf and pickleball, mostly golf, but.
All right. Well, hey, let's. We'll talk. There's a tennis tantrum that was had that I definitely want to talk about. Yep. I want to mention that. We'll have some This Day in Sports History. Also, our Super Sunday giveaway continuing, $100 gift card to Sickies. We also have some Bud Light glasses as well as a 24-pack of Bud Light. I'll tell you how to enter to win that as you continue to listen. We're going to give that away tomorrow at the end of the show. And then, of course, giving away NDSU Bison men's basketball tickets. Let's head over, though, to the Epic Companies hotline. And right out of the gate today, our good friend Mark in America joining us. Mark, how you doing?
Doing good, Rob.
What's on your mind?
Hey, wanted to call up and get Kyle's take on, I believe he's a fairly new executive director of the NFLPA, and the fact that he said last night, or at least that's when it was released, that the combine is worthless and it doesn't actually measure players' talents and abilities, and they just need to get rid of it. It really kind of surprised me because I know there's so much more that goes into it besides just what's on the field. It's meetings with coaches and GMs and owners, and those players get interviewed, and all that goes into play, not only the physical side, but the mental and psychological side of things.
All right. Appreciate that call, Mark. As always, thanks for joining us. Your takeaways. I didn't know about this.
I didn't either. I hadn't heard about this. I think I don't know if I agree that there's no point to it, that there's no benefit, that you can't get anything out of the combine. I think you could possibly make the argument that, I believe the COVID year they didn't have it, where you don't need it. You could just have pro days, but there is something to be said to get all of the best players all in one place, one site, in one sitting. All the teams can come to this one place, and you have them all right there. As Mark just mentioned, you can interview them. The medical side is a huge thing with the combine. I mean, that took up like an entire morning one day. There's drug testing that goes on. Obviously, everyone sees the things that goes on TV. I do agree with him in the sense of, it doesn't necessarily measure your football ability. But to me, and what I was told throughout my process was the combine, the pro days, like that's what they use to validate things. The scouts can't get to every single game, and so they're only watching tape. And so they're going to have an evaluation of what they think about you from watching that tape. And, okay, we think he's about this fast. We think he's about this strong. Can we go validate that through the combine? And that's kind of what I think that's what they use it for. Because sometimes there's anomalies, right? Like someone you think runs a 4.7 runs off at 4.2, and you're like, okay, is he just like a really good track runner? What's going on here? Or vice versa. You think someone's going to run a 4.3 and they have a bad day, they run a 4.8. But you want to try and validate those things. So I think there is some benefit to having the combine. If I would say, the only thing I could say is if you want to get rid of it, you're still going to have pro days. Like they're never going to get rid of it completely. That would just completely take away the entire NFL draft process. So now all you have is the tape to go off of and the All-Star games. I mean, you're going to always have at least a pro day where teams can go and get in front of guys and meet them one-on-one. I mean, it's like a job interview. There's not many jobs where they're going to hire you without getting to sit down and talk to you, and that's one of the benefits of the NFL Combine.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's important. There's drills, and I know that some of that stuff doesn't directly correlate with what's going to happen on the field, but it does showcase these guys. It showcases their talent.
And that's athleticism, too.
Yeah, and their athleticism.
For me, that was a big thing because I played defensive line, and you can kind of measure a defensive lineman's athleticism in terms of rushing the passer and what you see from that standpoint. But, they didn't know if I could drop in coverage. They didn't know if I had the hips to turn and run with, fullbacks, tight ends, wide receivers. And the combine gave me the platform to show that, I can swivel my hips, I can drop in coverage, I can break on a ball, and I think that benefited me a lot. I think there was probably some question marks like, hey, he played defensive end for 5 years, can he do this? Can he be an outside linebacker in the NFL? And so that's where it benefited me. There's a million other reasons that's benefited other people in the past.
Well, maybe that's the poll of the day. Is the NFL Combine useless? I think that could be our poll of the day. Mike and I, we try to go over poll of the day before the show, but sometimes we just kind of hit a blank and we see where it goes in the first segment. Yeah. So there you go. That's our poll of the day, is the NFL Combine
I thought Marco was going to call in and say, I don't think you guys need to do the Combine. The Bison 1660 Combine. Like, yes, absolutely we do.
Well, when he called in and he said Kyle, the new executive vice president of the NFL. I was like, what are you doing, Kyle, that we don't know about? You're like with the NFLPA now, man.
Yeah, I'm executive director, but also here with you.
Well, we're getting started here again. A lot happening on the show. I want to remind you can email us on the Rick Electric email inbox, studio@bison1660.com. You can also call or text us, as always, on the Epic Companies hotline, 701-476-1660. Well, this hour of The Insiders brought to you by Hansen Runsvold Funeral Home, dedicated to helping families look to the future with hope and remember what we do today shapes our memories for tomorrow. We always wish the Bison a successful season in their prospective sports and the community that cheers them on. A great time with family and friends. Hansen Runsvold Funeral Home, proud to support the Bison. The Insiders also brought to you by Proceed. Need seed? Think Proceed, and online at proceed.net. We'll step aside, take a break. More to come here on The Insiders.
Your home for the Thundering Herd. Bison 1660.
I think what makes Proceed win is we're different than the other companies in many ways with our programming, our simplicity, our non-corporate attitudes, and our personal relationship building.
What Proceed is, we bring back the old-fashioned seed buying experience. We're true seedsmen. We care about everything from the sale to the planting to following up afterwards. That's what we're all about, is just trying to bring that experience back to a personal level.
Need seed? Think Proceed. Proceed.net. Great seed at a reasonable price.
Experience is what builds the future of glass at Cardinal IG in Fargo. Cardinal IG is leading the industry in the development of superior glass for the residential window industry. Their highly motivated and talented employees design and manufacture the best glass in the industry. This February, Cardinal IG would like to say thank you to Michael Johnson, Elisa Henjum, and Elizabeth Victor, who are all celebrating their first year at Cardinal IG. To view open positions or to apply, visit CardinalFargo.com. That's CardinalFargo.com.
Snow, ice, and below zero temps. Typical Midwest weather, but not so kind to your vehicle. That's why Jiffy Lube of Fargo is here to make sure you have your vehicle in top working condition and ready for these winter roads and temps. Oil changes are the #1 maintenance item that's neglected. At Jiffy Lube of Fargo, no appointment needed at any of the 3 locally owned locations. Jiffy Lube of Fargo, where you can do more in a jiffy. Jiffy Lube of Fargo, proudly serving the metro area for 5 decades.
When it's time to find a realtor, word of mouth is important. And Todd Cattermas with Beyond Realty is a name Bison Nation says often. Todd has helped everyone from coaches and administrators to broadcasters and former players and their families buy homes in the FM area. So many in Bison Nation trust Todd to buy and sell their homes, and you can too. Call Todd Cattermas with Beyond Realty today or visit him at 4832 Amber Valley Parkway in Fargo. Todd is a proud partner and the preferred realtor of NDSU Athletics. Todd Cattermas with Beyond Realty, moving the herd one home at a time.
In 1953, Bill Samuels created a simple bourbon, while Margie Samuels worked on her creative vision. A bottle hand-dipped in red wax, wrapped in a hand-cut label, filled with handcrafted bourbon that elevated flavor and remains unchanged as of today. Aromas of woody oak, caramel, and vanilla, with a taste that is sweet and balanced with caramel, vanilla, and fruity essences. Every barrel of Maker's Mark is aged to taste, not time. Maker's Mark, the star of your home bar. Please drink responsibly.
Something we hear often is, I didn't know physical therapy could help with that. I'm JT from Apex Physical Therapy and Wellness. With our patients, we take the time to work on muscles, joints, and exercises, all in one visit. Patients often tell us that their last therapy experience didn't do much for their pain, and that when they come to Apex, they feel great. We customize our treatments to meet our patients' needs. It's fulfilling to hear how much they've been helped by Apex. To let Apex help you out, schedule your free consultation today. Visit apexptwellness.com.
This is Jory Collins, head women's basketball coach at NDSU.
We're trying to get this program to a point where we can compete for Summit League championships and hopefully play in the in-state tournament. I mean, that's the entire goal.
You are listening to the Insiders on Bison 1660.
All right, moving right along here on a Thursday. Thanks for joining us wherever you may be. Bison 1660 AM. Maybe you're on the FM dials, 92.7 on the HD as well. Coming to you crystal clear throughout your radios throughout Fargo. No static if you're on HD. There's no static here in the Theraldson Ethanol Broadcast Center either. Also, you may be listening on the Bison 1660 digital app. You can download that. Go to the Google Play Store, Apple Store. I always forget what those are called, like Play Store, Apple, iOS Store. Just go search for Bison 1660 and download it. We've been having a running joke this week. Thank you to all those in Guam who are joining us. Micah brought up a good point. He said maybe they're using a VPN. But we don't care. Wherever you're at, we love it, and we appreciate you joining us. So welcome back in again, live from the Theraldson Ethanol Broadcast Center. Theraldson Ethanol, one of the nation's largest ethanol facilities. This 175 million gallon per year ethanol plant is located just west of Castleton. Fuel your future by joining the growing team. You can always view those open positions at theraldsonethanol.com. Now, I'm not going to get into this too much because I don't want the listenership to drop off. But hear me out, okay? Maybe you are a tennis fan, and that's okay. Maybe you're not. I'm not knocking tennis. There's a lot of great guys and great women that have played tennis. It is a very physical sport. It is. You got to move around a lot. So you got to be very athletic. I could last maybe 5 seconds on a tennis court. I'd be out of breath. I'm out of breath talking about it. But maybe a little entertainment piece with tennis here this morning. There was a spectacular temper tantrum in tennis yesterday, featuring not one, not two, but 13 tennis rackets that were smashed. Now, I understand getting frustrated. I got kicked out of a rec center when I was younger. I got very angry. I was upset. I wasn't making shots, and I threw a temper tantrum, just like Alexander Bublik did. He's one of the more fascinating, entertaining people in the sport of tennis. This, by the way, is coming off of, I picked this up off of MSN Sports. He has a quote out there where he mentions if he can't play well enough in a match to entertain the crowd, then he'll do something different, like serving underarm trick shots or engaging with the people. This writer here, Hubs, wrote, I'm not sure entertainment was on his mind as he broke 3 of his rackets in less than a minute, but it got my attention. Now, it's kind of hard to think of like golf, and we're going to talk golf here in a minute. Very quiet. The announcers, there was a tee off of there from hole number 19. You know, that kind of stuff. It's kind of the same with tennis. So here is an audio clip of the announcers, and I've had to cut some of this out because it was really elongated. But here are the announcers, and here's the sound of the tennis rackets getting smashed yesterday.
5.
The good news is he's got plenty of other rackets.
Well, that's going to get the treatment as well. 3, 4. Okay. Well, this is going to get a hand now.
Now you have to watch the video to get the full laughter of this. But he's bashing these tennis rackets, and these announcers are trying to remain professional. I can't. If I was announcing, I'd probably start laughing just like we did. But he's counting them as he hits them. I mean, what else are you going to describe? So he's like, there we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, my goodness. This is getting out of hand now.
Did they give you, did you ever get coached up on how to do play-by-play for someone smashing tennis rackets? Is that a part of your training?
It's part of the new training I'm offering people. So anyways, yeah, the commentators, great job breaking it down. You've got the one guy that was counting every smash, and then the woman just kind of subtly draws in. The good news is that he's got plenty of other rackets. And then
spinning it positively.
Yeah, and then Bublik walks over to his bench. He grabs more rackets. Then she goes, well, I think that gives us a little indication of where his mindset is right now. 100% nailed it. The reason I brought that up is, at what point does a temper tantrum get to be too much in a sport? I mean, you see guys throw helmets. I get that. But what is too much, Kyle?
Well, yeah, I mean, it depends on the sport, right? Like in football, you would say, I think of Joey Bosa, my old teammate. He threw the helmet once. His head coach goes and picks it up, gives it back to him. He throws it again. He gets a 15-yard penalty. Like, that's too far, right? Like, anytime you're doing something detrimental to your team, not just yourself, and you're not just, it's gone beyond just, showing your emotions, you've gone a little bit too far. Now, when I'm listening to you read that, I was like, I don't think this probably started as like him being angry, but then like you said, I'm just going to entertain the people. Like, I'm pretty sure after 1 or 2, he was probably good, but he's like, I'm going to just keep going. I'm not playing well, whatever. I don't even know if he won the match or not, but I'm not playing well. I'm just going to keep smashing tennis rackets. It might go back to the old adage, like, no publicity is bad publicity. Like, maybe he's like, I'm going to go viral with this, like, whatever. I'm more interested in as to why he had 13 rackets. Like, do you really bring 13 to a single match? I thought they brought like 3, maybe like 5 tops, right?
They bring a lot. They have a lot. And I feel like you always see them switch rackets, I think, in between sets. And maybe that's just for like the tension on the string, or maybe like if they're not serving, they have a better serving racket, or they're better with a certain racket for serving.
Like one for serving,
and
one
then
for returns.
For returns and defense. Or if like they have different weighted ones. I feel like there's got to be differences.
Wouldn't that be like 2 or 3?
I don't know.
One for serving, one for not serving, and one.
Then you have backups.
So 4.
You have backups for your servers though.
Right.
So you have 3 or 4 servers. You have 3 or 4 defense and ones. You have your tactical rackets.
Yeah, you've got the. I looked at the price, and I mean, I'm sure these guys pay a lot. On average, a Wimbledon type bracket is around $300 to $500. So let's go on the low end. 13 of them. He just blew through $4,000 there in just a few seconds. And the video was funny because he actually kept getting up. He was walking towards. He had a pile of them, and he walked over to the other pile and started busting those. And he walked over to the other pile, clearly frustrated. But unlike golf, tennis, you don't need to have a different racket for a different style of hitting as far as the distance the ball is going to go. Right. And that kind of leads us on into something that you're very passionate about that's getting underway today, the WM Phoenix Open.
There you go. Got it. Not waste management anymore.
It just sounds weird when you say waste management and you're talking about golf.
The trash golf tournament.
But it is. It is the WM Phoenix Open. What's going on?
Well,
man?
yeah, and I was going to say leading into that, like in golf, I'm pretty sure this is a rule in golf. Like, if you get mad, break your driver, like, you just don't get to play with a driver for the rest of the round. You don't get to go back into the locker room and say, oh, sorry, I got really angry. I chucked my driver against and wrapped it around a tree. Like, no, you just don't have a driver. You're playing with a 3-wood. Or, hopefully it's not your putter. You're putting with a fairway metal, So I think if you accidentally break it, like you swing and it breaks, then they might make an exception. I'm not sure. I'd have to look up the rule, but so that's probably why you don't see golfers huck their clubs very often is for that reason. But yes, the WM Phoenix Open is going on, and I'm excited. I actually have it pulled up on my phone right here. Jordan Spieth is 2 over. If you're a Jordan Spieth fan, back-to-back bogeys starting off. But this is going on in the exact same city as a Super Bowl.
A lot of crossover happening right now.
Yeah, we got football going on. We got the Waste Management, or WM, I should say. And if you're not a golf fan, you might be like, Kyle, why do you care about this tournament? Well, it is one of 17 tournaments that the PGA Tour has elevated. Now, they did this in response to Live Golf, right? With the money that Live was throwing out there, they said, okay, well, we want to get the best golfers, the best field at more than just the majors, because golfers can kind of set their schedule, and I'm not exactly sure on the rule there, but they don't have to go to every tournament. So they elevated 17 of them. This is one of them. This is the second one of the year, and it's also the most attended golf tournament throughout the entire PGA Tour season. A lot of people know about Hole 16. It's a stadium course or stadium hole. It's a par 3, literally lined with stands, lined with people. They go crazy. They indulge in too many adult beverages, and they get after it, and they create like a football atmosphere a little bit for that hole. So it's a fun tournament. I was actually there this exact same weekend in 2015. I was training, and the Super Bowl was in Phoenix, and the WM was going on as well, and the city was insane. And I think the WM's only grown since then. I don't know if you could pack many more people in there, but if you can, they found a way.
When you're describing this in that particular hole with the stadium seating and the alcoholic beverages and fans getting rowdy and shit, because they're encouraging, like, people are clapping. They're not quiet. They're clapping. They're getting excited. I'm closing my eyes, and I'm envisioning Happy Gilmore. I mean, that's what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of a Volkswagen Beetle just going out of control, hitting a stand, cameras falling, all sorts of chaos.
People got didn't he have like the beer hat with the straw essentially that comes down from the hat in Happy Gilmore? I'm pretty sure they probably got a couple of those going down there in Phoenix. So it's a wild.
I believe it's a 3-day event too, right? It takes place over 4-day event.
Yeah, Thursday through Sunday. It's supposed to wrap up before the Super Bowl. Smart on their part, otherwise the ratings would be awful.
But it's just a really good kind of preamp, and we've been talking to Brandon Crisdall, our Fox Sports Radio correspondent, all week, and he's talked about just kind of some of that overlay and how it's working right now with having the WM going on alongside the Super Bowl. So a lot of great opportunities for people to get out, have some fun. It's a whole new way to pregame football. Get on the golf course for a while and cheer on some golf guys.
Absolutely. I think it's it's funny because in 2015 I actually went to it. I didn't really care that much about golf at that point, which I regret a lot at this now looking back in hindsight. But I went for like an hour. I walked through. I saw the line for the restroom was like 45 minutes long. Obviously, we didn't have like a suite or anything. We were just walking around, and I just left after like an hour. The apartment that I was staying at was like 7 minutes away, and I was just like, I'm good. I've never been to a golf tournament before. I don't really care to watch it. Now, I obviously regret that. It was still a good time. I mean, you could just tell like the intensity, the atmosphere, everything that goes on there. Like you understand why like a casual, someone who doesn't really even enjoy golf, I think would enjoy going to the WM Phoenix Open.
We just got a message here from a fan, CC, in the Lakes area. So there's a group of 8 from Fargo, NDSU on hole 16 every year, front row. So if you know that group of 8, tell them to send us some pictures of what things are looking like. So
tell them to call me, and if they, if someone ever drops out and they need an extra, I'm there.
All right. Well, that's how it is. The WM underway, and appreciate Kyle giving us some updates of what's going on there. I want to remind you, too, about our Super Sunday giveaway. Mentioned that earlier. It is $100 in Sicky's cash, case of Bud Light, 4 NDSU glasses. All you have to do to enter to win is text the word football. Again, that is football to 701-476-1660, 701-476-1660. Text in that word football. We'll announce a winner at the end of the show on Friday. Coming up next, NDSU wrestling head coach Roger Kish. He joins us on the Epic Companies Hotline.
North Dakota State football plays here. Bison 1660.
The story of the nurse and the foot pain that nearly brought him down.
I feel like I'm giving people their lives back.
Robert lived to take care of his patients, but he couldn't do it unless he took care of his foot pain.
I have plantar fasciitis. It'll almost put you on your knees. That's how much it hurts.
His own recovery started when he got fitted for arch supports at the Good Feet store.
Now that I'm pain-free, I can make these people feel better.
Can't beat that. Stop by or schedule your free fitting at goodfeet.com. A story of first downs and second chances. Meet former pro football player Michael Robinson.
I wanted to keep playing, but my feet hurt.
And all those big league experts couldn't help?
You have access to anything, but none of it worked.
Finally, he got fitted with Good Feet arch supports.
Let me tell you something. They work.
Now, he recommends Good Feet to
Anybody. If you move, go to the Good Feet store.
Sign up for your free fitting at goodfeet.com.
Stop by the Good Feet store on 13th Avenue near TJ Maxx Plaza for a free fitting. Call 1-800-NEW-FEET or visit goodfeetdakotas.com.
Show up early, cash out quarterly at Twin Peaks. The first 100 fans to show up for the big game on Sunday the 12th get a free square for the chance to win a Twin Peaks gift card at the end of every quarter. Plus, every fan scores free chips and queso just for showing up. What better to pair it with than an ice-cool 29-degree draft beer? With TVs every direction you turn, there's not a bad seat in the house. Contact your favorite lodge for more info on availability and offers. Twin Peaks, eats, drinks, scenic views.
Don't let your profits get stuck in your truck this spring. Dirt, rock, let it slide with Super Slide. Super Slide is a plastic, non-stick, self-lubricating, and seamless liner that eliminates haulback in your dump box or dump trailer. Super Slide is available in various grades, widths, and thicknesses, and Horn Plastics can have you in and out in no time. Get your new liner now to ensure you maximize productivity and profitability in 2023. Super Slide from Horn Plastics, created and preferred for every job. Visit hornplastics.com to schedule your installation.
Are you an electrician? Are you looking for a change? JDP Electric is looking for commercial, industrial, and service electricians. JDP is looking for both journeyman and apprentice electricians. You could start your career today with a family-owned and operated business who's been serving our community for over 20 years. Full-time positions available with great pay and benefits. Call 701-232-1991 or email info@jdpelectric.net. Start your new tomorrow today. Come be a part of the JDP difference.
If there's one thing I know about farmers, it's that they are resilient. This is Scott Zolandic with Cornerstone Bank. Farmers are known to rise to ever-changing challenges, whether it be higher land prices and rent costs, risk management, or diversification. Cornerstone Bank offers an experienced team that you can turn to. If you're looking to save, borrow, or spend, Cornerstone Bank will find the best financial options for business, ag operations, and your personal needs. Come see us at Cornerstone Bank.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Hear that? The herd is headed your way. You're hearing from the insiders right here on Bison 1660.
Welcome back at it here on the Insiders. Rob Hibb, Kyle Emanuel, the Micah Bendy. Micah just wanted that intro to roll out a little bit longer, so he kept our mics. I was pumping my fist, man. That got me a little worked up.
You had to hit the beat.
I'm just still waiting on Kyle Emanuel to start throwing it down, though, when we start hitting the beats. He hasn't done it yet.
No, I can't. There's a camera on me. People can hear me. Not happening. Sorry. Guys.
One of these days it will.
Maybe.
Well, speaking of throwing it down, these guys are throwing it down on the mat quite a bit and doing an excellent job. We'll head over now to the Epic Companies Hotline as we are joined by NDSU wrestling head coach Roger KIsh on the Epic Companies Hotline. Coach KIsh, as always, appreciate you. How have you been doing, my friend?
I'm doing well, guys. Thanks for joining me here today.
Absolutely. Well, got a match coming up. We'll talk about that one here in a little bit. Oklahoma on Friday. We'll actually have that on Bison 1660, so looking forward to that. Coach, I had a chance to come in yesterday just at the practice, watch some of your guys. Things are looking good. And then, one of two duels left this season, both of them at home. How fast is this season going by, and what's really stood out and impressed you the most?
Yeah, it's upon us, right? Postseason's right around the corner, and first we got a couple big competitions this week, next week. But starting here tomorrow night, Oklahoma, we're really excited to host these guys. Having a program is history as Oklahoma is always exciting for us. I know our guys are fired up to come out and compete, and it's going to be a good duel. These guys are talented and tough, and I think our matchups are going to be exciting. They're going to provide a lot of good matches, a lot of exciting matches, and I think the atmosphere and environment is going to play a big role, and hopefully we can get people out and cheer on these guys. It'll be fun.
Yeah, Coach, I wanted to. That kind of leads me right into my next question. I think with getting a program like Oklahoma, you don't get Oklahoma in any sport up to Fargo very often, but I think fans are excited for it. I know I'm excited for it. And can you just describe, specifically in wrestling? I think fans all know what an atmosphere can do in basketball, football, but what that can do for your team, for your guys when they're out on the mat, the atmosphere created.
Yeah, I think it's mainly just it provides that excitement, and it provides an additional level of adrenaline that these guys get in big moments of matches. And, I think it goes a long way in helping these guys push through some tough positions and, some of the adversities that our sport creates in big critical moments of matches. And these moments play huge roles in the outcomes of matches and even more in the outcome of dual meets. So yeah, atmosphere is extremely important in our sport, like most others, right? You have a great atmosphere, and there is such thing as home field advantage. That comes from our fans and community.
We're coming off a strong win recently at Northern Colorado. Just what led to that success, Coach, and how does that momentum carry over to Friday night?
Yeah, you start getting late into the season here, and every match is important. Every individual matchup, starts having big, plays large roles in Big 12 seeding and NCAA qualifications. So all these matches are extremely important, and especially as we're in conference play right now. But to be able to go out on the road in late January, early February, and come back with convincing wins against a couple of really tough opponents in Air Force, Northern Colorado, it provides the momentum and excitement and confidence that our guys are really, really buying into right now. So it's been really exciting, really good for these guys. I know their confidence is extremely high. The team success has been proven, and it's largely because of the group of leaders that we have on this team. So we're really excited, really proud.
Coach, it seems like every time I get on social media or scroll across something related to, there's always something related to NDSU wrestling, and you guys have obviously had a bunch of notable wins. I think we had you on last time after you beat Nebraska. There's some national rankings. Just talk about the season in general, and what's kind of led to the success of this season so far.
Yeah, well, I think simply put, it's the amount of work that our guys put in the off season is really what leads to success during season, and our guys spent majority of their summers working away daily, trying to improve their game and their technique and their mental, and then it all comes together here, and you're starting to see the group have significant success. So all the out of work, season that we put together is really what led into having success early on in our season, and has helped us build throughout the season, and the momentum we're fired up to take into postseason here.
Again, we're on the Epic Companies hotline, joined by Roger Kish, NDSU wrestling head coach. Coach, I wanted to give you an opportunity too. We of course highlight these student athletes. We'll talk more about a few of these guys here in just a moment, but wanted to give you an opportunity just to highlight your staff as well. When I was in the practice yesterday, first time I had a chance to get down there and watch you guys in a practice, I was impressed with just your staff and how they work with these young men. A lot of success with your staff as well in their careers. Yeah.
I tell you what, you take a guy like our associate head coach, Coach Obi Blanc. His collegiate success was followed up, or his international success, collegiate success. I mean, this is a guy who's made world teams, and to have his knowledge and his ability to mentor these guys has been extremely crucial in our overall success of the program. So he's been just great to work with. He's a huge mentor and leader of our program. And then you got Coach Marsden, our upperweight coach. He spends a lot of time with our big guys, and again, to have a young guy that is as knowledgeable and successful as he's been, and have the ability to still get on the mats and wrestle and compete with these guys daily it's tough to find those guys, right? And then you got Coach Sikora, Cam. He's our youngest coach, and again, his youth has benefited our squad in huge ways. Just being able to get on the mats and compete, and our guys look up to him and the successes that he's had through his collegiate career. But at the end of the day, it's these guys do a great job, and their leadership has been huge in the overall success of the program. And we couldn't do it without those guys, man. Those guys are great coaches, all of them. So we're really blessed to have the crew that we have, and we're going to continue to work hard to make sure that they call this place home for a long, long time.
What are some of the small details that you guys are working out, practices every single day, that kind of go unnoticed throughout like a match for like a fan or someone that isn't even a wrestling fan?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. So, our sport is really defined in detail. And, it's the general eye probably doesn't necessarily pick up the smallest things that these guys focus on in their game, right? And technique is an extremely large part of our game. And there's a balance of technique and power and strength and attitude and tenacity that all goes into the art of wrestling. And to have the highest levels of success, you got to be able to have a good balance of all of these aspects. And so, the technical side, it might just be small things, head positions and hand position, and my posture, things like that. Maybe what I need, what I need my mind to be thinking about in different positions as we progress through those positions is monumental in the overall success of winning positions, right? And as we talk to our guys, you win enough positions, you score enough points, you win matches. And so the smallest detail leads to the biggest, outcomes of matches. So, it's a good question, and the smallest details are the most important in our game. There's no doubt about it.
Again, NDSU Wrestling head coach Roger KIsh with us here on the Insiders on the Epic Companies Hotline. Coach, appreciate your time. Just a couple of last questions for you before we wrap it up. And again, appreciate all that you do for Bison Nation. I mentioned Oklahoma, of course, coming up on Friday. We'll have that call right here on Bison 1660, 7 o'clock getting underway. It is not when we go on early with football and basketball, we call it pregame. I've learned in wrestling you do not use the word game. It is a duel, so we're going to say pre-duel when we get started 10 minutes early, Coach. What do you got to get established a little bit early versus Oklahoma?
Yeah, that's a good question. So wrestling is so unique in the fact that as we prepare for the competition, it's going to be trying to get some momentum built up early, and bonus points will be a huge part of the success of the competition. So for us, it's going to be able to try and get an advantageous starting spot in the duel, and that's typically won by a coin flip. And much like any other sport, our coin flip allows the winner to choose what weights that we start at, and a lot of times this can be advantageous as you navigate the dual meet. But so the coin flip will play a part in where we want to begin strategically, and from there it's going to put us in a position to gain momentum with some of our more experienced guys, and take that momentum and push it through some of these matchups that we believe are going to be toss-up matches that could go either way, and hopefully the environment and the momentum is going to be enough to take these guys and provide them what they need to come out ahead. So, these are the things that we're going to be looking at as we prepare.
When you look at guys like Michael Caliendo, a redshirt freshman, tremendous success this season. We know about the big victory that he had. Just how has he continued to grow with this program?
He's a young man who has an extremely high IQ for the sport, and he understands wrestling. And it's rare that you get a guy that is so mature with the wrestling IQ at his age, which is why you're able to see a guy like that have the success that he does at such a young age as a freshman, right? Is he top 5, top 8 in the country right now? I don't know what poll you look at, but and so you typically don't see that out of a freshman unless they have an extremely high IQ of our sport, and he does. And you take that, you get a chance to build on that, fill in some of his deficiencies along the way. And then provide great training cycles and great training partners like a Jared Franick that he can compete with daily. And by doing that, you kind of have a recipe for success. And that's kind of been what he's done. So he's going to have a ton of success here down the road. We're really excited for him.
Well, again, Friday night, you can get your tickets, gobison.com. Friday, 7 o'clock, that duel will get underway. You can see Michael Caliendo and the rest of this talented squad that Coach Roger KIsh and his dedicated staff working really well with these young men. 10-2 this season, 5-1 in the Big 12. 2 more duels to wrap it up before the tournament gets underway coming up in March. Coach, appreciate your time as always. You're a friend here, and we welcome you in anytime, and keep up the excellent work with these young men.
Hey, thank you, guys.
All right, there he is again. Roger Kish joining us on the Epic Companies hotline. Enjoyed what he had to say, highlighting his staff, highlighting some of these young men, and looking forward to the match or the duel there versus Oklahoma coming up on Friday, and then a week following there on Sunday battling South Dakota State to wrap it up. We'll step aside, take a break. We'll switch gears when we come back to close out the hour. We'll talk a little bit about which Vikings players could benefit most from new defensive coordinator Brian Flores. We'll have that and more when we come back on The Insiders.
This is The Insiders on your exclusive home for North Dakota State Athletics, Bison 1660.
Happy St. Patrick's Day!
It's back. Fargo's official St. Patrick's Day pub crawl presented by Bud Light.
Grab your friends and your green gear and head downtown March 11th for the official St. Patty's Day pub crawl.
Kickoff at 1 p.m.
Grab a passport at any of the participating bars and enjoy the St. Patty's Day specials.
Get your passport stamped at each location to receive the commemorative St. Patty's Day finisher medal at the Old Broadway.
Find all the details on Facebook.
Special thanks to the Bridges Apartments.
Happy St. Patrick's Day!
It's the St. Patrick's Day pub crawl presented by Bud Light.
Need a little Valentine present to enjoy with the love of your life, your sewing machine? Enjoy a blind date at your sewing machine from Ray-Ban Sew and Quilt Shop. It's the perfect night in. The contents are a surprise. Each package will include all the supplies to make a mystery project you will love. These are easy, beginner-friendly projects that everyone can enjoy. This Valentine's Day, enjoy a blind date with your sewing machine with Ray-Ban Sew and Quilt Shop. For more details or to purchase your kit, stop in the shop or visit ray-bond.com.
The story of the nurse and the foot pain that nearly brought him down.
I feel like I'm giving people their lives back.
Robert lived to take care of his patients, but he couldn't do it unless he took care of his foot pain.
I have plantar fasciitis. It'll almost put you on your knees. That's how much it hurts.
His own recovery started when he got fitted for arch supports at the Good Feet store.
Now that I'm pain free, I can make these people feel better.
Can't beat that. Stop by or schedule your free fitting at goodfeet.com. A story of first downs and second chances. Meet former pro football player Michael Robinson.
I wanted to keep playing, but my feet hurt.
And all those big league experts couldn't help?
You have access to anything, but none of it worked.
Finally, he got fitted with Good Feet arch supports.
Let me tell you something. They work.
Now, he recommends Good Feet to
anybody. If you move, go to the Good Feet store.
Sign up for your free fitting at goodfeet.com.
Stop by the Good Feet store on 13th Avenue near TJ Maxx Plaza for a free fitting. Call 1-800-NEW-FEET or visit goodfeetdakotas.com.
In 1953, Bill Samuels created a simple bourbon while Margie Samuels worked on her creative vision. A bottle hand-dipped in red wax, wrapped in a hand-cut label, filled with handcrafted bourbon that elevated flavor and remains unchanged as of today. Aromas of woody oak, caramel, and vanilla with a taste that is sweet and balanced with caramel, vanilla, and fruity essences. Every barrel of Maker's Mark is aged to taste, not time. Maker's Mark, the star of your home bar. Please drink responsibly.
Love is in the air.
It's a brand new day.
Birds are singing duets together.
And squirrels are chasing each other across the treetops.
Everyone has a twinkle in their eye.
Boom, chicka-boom.
Don't let junk get in the way.
We make junk disappear.
All you have to do is point.
Call 1-800-GOT-JUNK.
And you'll be back to your old self again.
We've got magic in our fingertips.
And that's why everyone starts dancing.
Call 1-800-GOT-JUNK.
Or visit 1-800-GOTJUNK.com.
This is NDSU head men's basketball coach Dave Richmond, and you're listening to The Insiders on your home for NDSU athletics, Bison 1660.
Welcome back at it here on The Insiders as we close out the first hour. Rob Hipp, Kyle Emanuel, Micah Bendy running the dials back there, taking care of business as always. Appreciate everybody joining us today. You can call, text on the Epic Companies hotline, 701-476-1660. I was out of breath, man. We were talking a lot about some golf there in the break. Got me out of breath talking about that swing. You know, it's a pretty physical sport. It is pretty fit. So I mean, you got to have some power behind that swing, man.
You do, and you realize why some of these golfers have back issues, like the amount of torque and like twisting, and like you don't think about like when I was a kid, I was like, how the heck does a golfer ever get injured? You know, but like you're twisting on your knee, and like you gotta have some mobility, flexibility in your ankles. Like, I guess I could see it. I can understand it, especially if 4 straight days of walking 18 holes, that would get me. I got a bad back from playing football, but like I couldn't do it.
See, it's easy in golf to name guys, of course, like Tiger Woods or Jordan Spieth or Rory McIlroy, but I go back to the days of Tom Kite and Chichi Rodriguez. Like when I think of golf, the first name that pops into my head isn't Tiger Woods.
What?
It's Chichi Rodriguez.
No way.
I don't know. It's just because it was a unique name. You know,
Yeah,
you'd see him
but-
play, and then you'd see his name, Chichi, and I was like, that's cool. Chichi Rodriguez.
If Tiger Woods isn't the first name that pops in your head, you're
It's
doing
not.
something wrong.
I guess I'm not watching it enough.
Yeah,
man.
you're not watching it.
And I lived on a golf course community before I came here. I mean, we had 3 courses, nice little community there, and I didn't get a chance to get out there a lot. Now, some of the houses, they were smart because they put up chain link over their windows, those that were on the course. And there was someone that had just moved in, and they were complaining about, I've lived here for 5 months, and my windows have already been busted out 3 times. You moved on the course, and you got guys like Rob Hipp swinging clubs. That's going to happen.
Yeah, and for with me, you're not safe on either side. Like, you know, most people are like, oh, a right-hander, you don't want to be on the right side because a lot of amateurs slice the ball, hit it off to the right. It's like, no, I can do it. I can pull a duck hook just as easily as I can slice it off to the right. So you're not safe for me on either side.
No, and you have to have. I mean, there's insurance. You got special insurance that you have. I mean, it's known. So here's the point in case. If you didn't learn anything today on the Insiders, here's what you learn. If you don't want your windows to get shattered by a golf ball, don't live on the golf course.
Correct.
There you go. That's just about the
Or
most ignorant news you
if
can
you're
learn
going
today.
to live behind a tee box. I mean, that might be. I'm talking behind. I'm not talking left or right. Like behind a tee box.
not what is it, 180? Not that way because it'll still hit you.
Straight behind, not behind a green because people sail the greens. Like, I think the only safe space on a golf course is behind a tee box that is also not behind a green, if you can find that spot.
True, because if you have it to the back of the tee box, but it has to be on a hole where the green from the previous hole isn't close to that tee box. Usually, maybe hole 10, where there's like a break, so you have to turn. Or you have to turn.
Because I've literally seen people not directly behind them, but I've seen people hit a ball that ends up behind them. Like they shank it so bad it goes directly to the right and kind of curves a little bit, and it actually ends up behind them, or straight to the left, and it maybe not behind them, but 5 yards. And so it's if you're not behind it, you could maybe be at a 90-degree angle, but that's probably about it.
We stay in just one more little bit here on the golf side. Of course, we brought all this up because the WM's getting underway today. Kyle Emanuel, big golfer. So
the Trash Open.
The Trash Open is open. Our good friend Jill emailed us on the Rick Electric email inbox, studio at bison1660.com. She said the PGA changed a couple of things in order to minimize the damage caused by tossing beer cans, bottles, etc. at the WM. Beverages are being served in commemorative plastic cups, so if people choose to toss their beverage containers, should a hole-in-one occur on the 16th, it would be safer and smarter.
That just makes good sense, right? I mean,
a plastic cup hitting you still can be a little painful.
But you can't throw it the beer's not going to stay in the plastic cup, so it's going to get lighter and lighter as you throw it. It's not going to go very far.
There's no lid on the plastic cup, of course.
I would hope not.
Yeah, a bottle or a can is going to contain that beer. The bottle's going to be heavy regardless.
Right.
But if you have a beer can, it's going to be too light. The wind will just throw it the other way, so you won't get it there.
And it's very windy out there today, too, if you're watching. It looks like the wind is blowing, and so you're not getting that very far.
Well, appreciate that question coming in. Again, if you have anything you'd like to add, you can always email us on the Rick Electric email inbox, studio at bison1660.com. You can call or text us as well on the Epic Companies hotline, 701-476-1660. Wanted to shift gears just for a few moments here as we wrap up our first hour. You know, everyone knows, Vikings Nation knows now that, there you go, got to sound it off. I told Mike earlier, I was like, get the horn ready, and then I forgot about the horn. But everyone knows about Brian Flores now, defensive coordinator coming in, and they lost their preferred candidate, Ejiro Evero, to the Carolina Panthers. He was the guy they wanted. That was kind of your top dog. Didn't get him. But Flores could be a tremendous piece of business, as he's quoted as boasting his previous head coaching experience, knows how to successfully run defenses, also having key positions with Pittsburgh Steelers and the Patriots. So two good programs, two very storied programs that he's had some success and experience at. But some significant reinforcements may be needed on all levels. And specifically when you look at the Vikings, 4 players that could benefit the most from Flores' arrival in 2023. Some of this information coming from the VikingAge.com is put out actually right before the show came on. And so I wanted to highlight it, kind of what they wrote here in this article, which Minnesota Vikings players could benefit the most. The first one, well, they listed Patrick Jones, the defensive end, talking about just having kind of an unknown or out-of-the-picture rookie campaign. He flashed as a rotational piece last year. This offseason, an important one for the defensive end, heading into year 3 of his pro career. So he could be a guy that's going to benefit greatly from a guy in the leadership of Brian Flores.
Well, yeah, and I think it can benefit all levels. And Brian Flores, I believe his defense is predicated on being aggressive in any form or fashion. So when you can say just be aggressive and get after the quarterback, get after the guy with the ball, Kyle, is that the most thrilling thing your coach just tells you? Go get the ball.
Yeah, right. Yeah, the best coaching advice I've ever got: see ball, get ball. Right. Like, no, but I agree. Like, I was looking at another article and they mentioned Daniil Hunter. You know, he had to obviously kind of transition from that 4-3 defensive end to being a rushing outside linebacker. But at least I'm assuming the Vikings did this too. I don't watch the Vikings a ton, but like I played in a 3-4. When you go to nickel, when you get into those passing downs, you still usually go to a 4-man front. You're not going to sit in a 3-4 when it's 3rd and 13. So you can still rush as a traditional defensive end. But I just think of, you know, as a defensive player, when you're throwing all these blitzes, like it's going to confuse the protection. It's going to throw offensive linemen like off a little bit. I know I was just reading something like he likes to mug up linebackers, especially on 3rd down, which essentially is you're just going to walk the linebackers up right into the A-gap, cause some confusion there, hopefully get some one-on-ones for Daniil Hunter, who's obviously a very talented pass rusher. So I think he's another one that could benefit.
Another player, linebacker, you look at this with Brian Asamoah, just talking about, you know, he could be that guy, too, that could benefit the most from having Brian Flores, the former 3rd-round selection, spent a little time on the defensive rotation as a rookie, but his production overall mostly restricted to special teams during that transition. You look at the futures of guys like Aaron Kendricks, Jordan Hicks under kind of a microscope. They're getting a lot of detail. An opportunity could come up for Asamoah this season as well.
Brian Asamoah is a really fast linebacker, and he doesn't have like a ton of size, but the NFL is going to, like, you need speed. And if he does have enough size at linebacker, but he plays so fast. He made an impressive play against the Giants in the regular season game where he did allow the tight end to get the reception, but then he caught up to him, swiped at the ball, and then picked up the ball. So he forced the fumble, picked it up. A guy that can play in Pasco. I don't know how much I'd want him against receivers, but tight ends for sure. He's got speed enough for that.
Well, most people don't ever want linebackers on receivers if you can avoid it, which isn't always possible. But yeah, I think honestly, and I'll just jump ahead here, like I think you could probably say most linebackers and safeties. I know you probably get to Lewis Seen and even Harrison Smith, but like I think in a defense like this, when you're trying to disguise, especially a guy like Harrison Smith who's played in the league for so long, like his ability to disguise coverages, to walk up in the box. I know I was just reading something too, like Flores likes to move safeties all over the field. They're going to play down into the box. They're going to be playing deep. Like moving around, trying to disguise things, coming on blitzes at times. I think a lot of guys in the back end with a 3-4, with linemen trying to plug up some holes, being able to run around free and make some plays. I think they all have the potential. Now, will they get there? Who knows? But I think with this kind of defensive scheme, you at least free them up a little bit to make some plays.
Well, that does kind of lead in, and when I was talking about this segment before we went on the show today with Micah, I mean, one of the first names that popped into his head was the safety Lewis Seen, and you know, Flores has this no-nonsense approach and methodical the way that he handles the defense. And I think when you look at a guy like Lewis Seen, too, he's kind of a no-nonsense type of guy. You look at what he did at Georgia and his partnership with Smith, that should make a supreme difference. Minnesota getting set to return to that 4-3 base scheme in wake of Ed Donatel's failed experiment. So they're calling that a failed experiment. And, you know, to see Flores coming in and having a guy like Seen at safety, that could step up as well, Micah.
Absolutely, and he's coming off of a bad injury, and Lewis Seen is a guy that can hit hard. So if he can be in some spots where he's disguised and you don't know what he's going to do, where he's going to go, he can get some open licks on some guys, force some fumbles, maybe get some interceptions as well.
Oh, exactly. And like I was just talking about with the safeties, and I can move them all over the field. And safeties are guys that just because they're lined up down the box, it doesn't mean they're blitzing. I mean, think about like I always come back to like Derwin James, because he's kind of this hybrid. He's a safety, but he basically could play line. He honestly could play linebacker. I really believe that. And you know, maybe that's Lewis Seen for the Vikings. Move him around, get him involved in all these blitz packages that Brian Flores likes to do. We were just talking about how much he likes to blitz, and I was looking at the numbers, and he's like, I think he was like 38% of the time he blitzes, where the Vikings were somewhere in the 20s last year. So there's going to be some differences there, and safeties, that's kind of the most flexible position. They move all over the place. So once again, you know, that this type of scheme, hopefully for Vikings fan, could set up, you know, for some success for their former first-round pick.
I think another area that the Vikings really need to look at, continuing back there in the secondary at the cornerback position, Andrew Booth Jr. is another one that's mentioned on this as one of the 4 players that could benefit from Brian Flores now being the defensive coordinator. Of course, I think a lot of it with Andrew Booth, though, is going to be his health, and how is that going to carry over? Because, of course, struggling from injuries, but the Clemson standout, an opportunity here to continue to grow with the Vikings, and I think he's going to do exceptionally well with Flores.
Yeah, struggled with injuries in college and now in the pros just a little bit. And the one game that we saw some extensive play from him was in the Bills game, and Gabe Davis gave him a lot of issues. I believe one possession he was giving up a ton of receptions, a ton of yards, and he was pulled very quickly from that game. Have to see some great improvement from him. One thing that I believe in as a person that didn't play football in high school or anything like that, but I feel like you get your best athletes on defense. That's how you counteract offense. I don't know what.
Well said.
Yeah,
obviously,
best athletes on defense.
Obviously, the best
we got
athletes
Kyle
on
Emanuel.
defense. Don't even ask me that. You ask Cole that tomorrow; he'll tell you the exact same thing. Of course, you get the best athletes on defense.
I love it. Well, that is our discussion again. Brian Flores, which players will impact the most? Patrick Jones, we mentioned him. Lewis Seen, Brian Asamoah, and then there just a few moments ago talking about Andrew Booth Jr. This wraps up hour number 1. When we come back, our friend from FCS Nation Radio and ESPN West Palm, Stone Labanowitz, he'll join us to talk Eagles-Vikings. Before we do wrap this first hour up, though, I want to give away some Bison men's basketball tickets to the game tonight versus Omaha, 7 o'clock at the Shill Center. We'll take caller number 4, 701-476-1660. Again, we got 2 tickets to give away. NDSU men's basketball versus Omaha. Caller number 4, 701-476-1660. We'll be back after this.
Rice Companies understands that strong buildings and strong communities start with strong connections. They know the importance of every bolt, every beam, and every handshake. Every connection must be strong. When you work with Rice Companies, you're building on more than concrete and steel. You're building on knowledge and expertise with people you can trust. People who value your investment as much as you do. Connect with Rice Companies, your local Butler builder, and experience the difference strong connections can make for your business. Learn more and see career opportunities at ricecompanies.com.
For decades, Nodak Insurance Company has been serving our state's residents in good times and challenging times. We come together for the greater good, from simple acts of kindness to company-wide efforts that make a difference in our community. It's who we are, rooted in North Dakota and ready to serve when it matters most. Nodak Insurance Company, agents with answers.
Founded on family values, Dakota Underground is known for providing quality projects at superior timelines. Their 40-year reputation has been built by motivated people who work hard and always do the right thing. They're currently hiring heavy equipment operators, pipe layers, concrete finishers, and truck drivers to join their talented team. Learn on the job, work your way up, and earn a good living for you and your family. Easy apply online at dakotaunderground.net. That's dakotaunderground.net.
WeFest has your Valentine's Day gift covered with a sweetheart of a deal. The WeFest Sweetheart Bundle includes 2 GA tickets, 2 camp access passes, and 1 romantic campsite. Your Valentine will love it, and you'll save $50 now through February 14th. Tickets are selling faster than ever for WeFest 40th, and prices increase as the date gets closer. Morgan Wallen, Brad Paisley, and Kane Brown headline WeFest August 3rd through the 5th at the Sioux Pass Ranch. Tickets and info at WeFest.com.
No matter where you work, whether it's at your kitchen table or in the office, you need to collaborate with your team. ProConnect from Consolidated Communications makes it happen. You'll never miss a call when you can answer from your desk phone, laptop, or cell phone. And you can communicate instantly using real-time messaging. Confidently connect with customers over secure video conferencing and work together to create and share documents. Get ready to connect, collaborate, and communicate brilliantly. Choose ProConnect, your team collaboration tool from Consolidated Communications.
Stop by Gateway Chevrolet and check out their great selection of in-stock Chevy cars and trucks ready for immediate delivery. Take advantage of invoice pricing on new 2023 Chevrolet Equinox and invoice pricing on new 2023 Chevrolet Silverados only at Gateway Chevrolet. Plus, find out about 2.9% financing on select Chevrolet models. That's right, 2.9% on select Chevrolets and invoice pricing on 2023 Equinox and Silverados at Gateway Chevrolet. Find new roads. Details gatewayfargo.com.
KQWB West Fargo, KPFX HD3 Kindred, and K224FD Fargo. Bison 1660, powered by Gateway Chevrolet, Cadillac, Nissan, and Hyundai in Fargo.
We are Buck Fork. And here's what you need to know.
know.
Breaking news ahead of today's NBA trade deadline as the Boston Celtics are acquiring Mike Muscala from the Oklahoma City Thunder in exchange for Justin Jackson and 2 second-round picks. Blockbuster trade overnight as the Brooklyn Nets trading Kevin Durant along with TJ Warren to the Phoenix Suns for 4 unprotected first-round picks and players Michael Bridges, Cam Johnson, and Jay Crowder. First-round picks come in the years 2023, 2025, 2027, and 2029. Another big move last night is the Lakers, Jazz, and Timberwolves pulled off a 3-team deal. LA's going to get D'Angelo Russell, Malik Beasley, and Jared Vanderbilt. Utah will receive Russell Westbrook, Juan Toscano Anderson, Damian Jones, and a 2027 top 4 protected first-round pick from the Lakers. Minnesota will get Mike Conley and Nickeil Alexander-Walker. And the Knicks acquiring Josh Hart from the Portland Trail Blazers in exchange for 3 players, including Cam Reddish, and a protected 2023 first-round pick. I'm Kevin Wire.
From the court to the field and everywhere in between. Your home for NDSU athletics. Bison 1660.
Welcome back to the Insiders on a Thursday. Heading back to the Epic Companies hotline. We are joined by a friend. He's become a friend of Bison 1660 as of late. Our good buddy Stone Labanowitz, co-host of SCS Nation Radio and on-air at ESPN West Palm. Stone, good to hear from you as always. What's the weather like in your neck of the woods, man?
Hey, the weather's always good. You know that, Rob. I think it's like 81 right now. Don't know how you guys are faring up there, but all is good. All is well. A lot going on in the FCS world. Transfer portal going crazy. It's Super Bowl week. The NBA is trying to hog everybody's news, so it's a good week for us sports guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I wanted to get you on today, first of all, to kind of get your takes to get started on Cody Mauch and how well that he played in the Senior Bowl. What did you see from him? What were you most impressed with?
I think the fact that he kind of took over the Senior Bowl in regards to being a leader. Like, he was breaking down huddles. He was one of the 6 highest-graded players out of the entire field on here with a bunch of Power 5 and Group of 5 guys. And then there's Cody. So I think he really put on for us FCS guys. I think it's easier for us to talk about guys up front and in the trenches, because that's where people normally say it's the biggest difference from the FBS to the FCS level. The guys in the trenches just can't hang. But when you send a guy like Cody to the Senior Bowl, and then he ends up being one of the 6 highest-graded players out of everybody in the field, I mean, it's impressive. And now it's kind of what we're going to lean on going forward, and a lot of guys in the FBS can look to Cody, try to mirror and mimic what he's done, and get themselves in the exact same spot that he's in right now.
Yeah, I think one of the most impressive performances there. I mean, they had him all over the line, and he played efficient everywhere that they put him. Again, we're talking to Stone Labanowitz here from co-host of FCS Nation Radio, good friend that always joins us. You know, when you look at Cody and just that performance, going into that, I mean, there was some chatter that he could be a top 50, possibly, top 50 in the draft. Do you kind of feel like maybe he could go higher and be a first round now? Because that has been some of the discussion going on this past couple of weeks.
So I think the one question going into the Senior Bowl with him was his athleticism. I think us in the FCS world knew it was there, but now he's stamped. He's verified that he's athletic, and that's where the game's going at the pro level now. Guys have to be able to move from the left hash to the right hash, and I think Cody's shown the ability to do that, so I wouldn't necessarily be surprised. He's shown leadership. He showed athleticism. He was finishing blocks, and he was one of the most vocal kids out there. I think that's everything that a first-rounder is, in my opinion, so I would not be surprised.
Well, of course, you keep up with all things FCS there as the co-host of FCS Nation Radio. Signing day taking place again here very recently. What were some of the moves that you've seen? What have you guys been kind of highlighting there on FCS Nation Radio?
To be honest with you, it's been a lot of the transfer portal stuff. I think, a year ago, 2 years ago, we call it the Wild, Wild West, but it's starting to spin itself out, and then you go to other parts of the country, and it's just kind of multiplying. So trying to keep up with all the transfer portal stuff, we're going to bring on guys here monthly that are changing schools, a bunch of new coaches, but trying to keep up with all of this because, as you know, the light is not shown on FCS as much as it is the FBS. So it's up to guys like us to bring to the forefront the numbers, the guys going from transfer portals, FBS to FCS transfers. We'll bring on a lot of those guys and a lot of the guys in the media who know those numbers just to put things into perspective for people because, boy, when you go ahead and look at the transfer portal, it is hard to keep up with these kids nowadays.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. So many going in, and we wish all the young men the best that choose to leave where they're at and go. I want to look ahead and talk about everything going on down in Arizona. Of course, big Super Bowl coming up on Sunday. Everybody's getting exciting. Everybody's getting jacked. I know that you are. You always bring a lot of energy, Stone. I'll lead with this question. When you look at Philadelphia and Kansas City, I don't want to look at it from a player perspective, because I'll ask you this question in just a minute. But on the team standpoint, which team do you feel really needs this more than the other? And I know, look, you want to win the Super Bowl, of course, but which team is the one that the focus is really on them, saying they have got to win this Super Bowl or this is going to happen?
God, that's a tough question. So we proposed it on one of our daytime shows down here in South Florida, ESPN West Palm. And I didn't have an answer, and I still don't have an answer. You know why? Because if either of these teams lose this game, they're going to go into next season as the 1, 2, or third shortest odds to win it again. So they're going to have the same hefty, lofty expectations. I don't think anybody's a failure if they lose this game. It's really hard to put a finger on that. I would go Andy Reid on the side of the Kansas City Chiefs. Right? For all he's done, for all the revolutionary things he's done offensively and with Patrick Mahomes, he's won Super Bowl to show for it. So if he loses this game, you're going to get the talking heads. You're going to get the wide world leader in sports saying, hey, is Andy Reid on the hot seat? We're going to start getting all this blasphemy stuff coming from the Kansas City side because Andy Reid only has one Super Bowl, and he has the most talented roster and the most talented play caller that we've seen in a long time. So I think Kansas City has more of the pressure and needs to win this game, but honestly, it's a hard answer.
Well, now we'll go and dig into the player perspective. Is this more important, more pressure for Jalen Hurts or for Patrick Mahomes? Because you look at the Chiefs, 5 straight AFC championships. They've been to the Super Bowl a few times, and they've only won one. So who is that pressure on? Is it Jalen or is it Patrick?
Again, I would say neither. I mean, this is very interesting because I think Jalen's made his bag, right? We've heard the owner of the Philadelphia Eagles say how much faith and how confident he is in Jalen and how he's set himself up for the future, not only for himself, but for the Eagles in general. So he's made his bag, and still in a week or a month where Jerry Jones said he wants Dak Prescott to play quarterback for the Cowboys for the next 10 years, I think Jalen's safe. I think he's grounded himself. He's shown that he's one of the best players in the league, and he will be for the next coming years. And then Patrick Mahomes is, we began to get fatigued by Patrick Mahomes. I think that's one of the most annoying things in sports. Right, you mentioned it, 5 straight AFC championship games. Here he is in another Super Bowl. So you find yourself rooting for the Eagles if you're the general public. Like, hey, I would like to see somebody else do it. So as far as pressure goes, I don't think either of these guys have that much pressure. They're both a little banged up, so the pressure would be, hey, I need to stay healthy through 4 quarters. But as far as what happens if you lose this game, I don't think anything crazy happens with both of these guys.
Do you agree with the current line right now has the Eagles as favorites by 1.5?
I do. And it's all the basic answers you're going to get. It's that front seven for Philadelphia. It's the fact that Patrick Mahomes is a little hobbled with that ankle. It's the rest of Philadelphia being able to run the ball successfully, and they've shown that in the upcoming weeks to get to this point. So I think with those 3 basic things, of course, they should be favored, but people are getting a little carried away. Right? You're thinking that Philadelphia's going to run the ball really, really easily. Right? You see Jalen Hurts' prop for rushing attempts is at 10.5. 99% of the bets are on that over. You got Miles Sanders. Everybody's betting on the over. So I think everybody thinks this is going to be an easy game for Philadelphia if you don't understand these Vegas gambling lines. Because when you look at it, they're minus 1.5. So Vegas obviously isn't that confident in Philadelphia. So neither should you as the general public thinking that, oh, this defensive line is really good. They're going to be able to run the ball down their throat. That's not the case. If it were, they'd be favored by more than a point.
Again, Stone Labanowitz joining us here on the Insiders on the Epic Companies hotline as we talk Super Bowl. Look, man, I'm a Cowboys fan, and every team has their fans and how they react and how they act and how they overreact. I think when you look at the Eagles, their fan base gets a little bit out of hand sometimes. What are your comments on just how Philadelphia Eagle fans handle themselves? I had to throw that in as a Cowboys fan, by the way.
To be honest with you, I think people are jealous, right? When your team can't get to a point like this, we're going to throw every stick and stone we can at a fan base. I mean, plain and simple, we don't know what it's like to get here. I'm a Dolphins guy. You're a Cowboys guy. We don't know what it feels like, right? The Eagles have won a Super Bowl, I think, 5-6 years ago, like not too long ago. They've been in this situation. They're a one-loss team with Jalen Hurts, so I think they're able to talk all the smack they want. We really don't have anything against it. There's nothing that we can say as a Cowboy fan and as a Dolphins fan, or as a fan of any team in the league right now, that would actually hurt the Eagles right now. So you got to let them fly.
Stone, you and I don't have any bias towards either team, not being a fan of either one as far as, a diehard, but who are you rooting for in this matchup?
It's Kansas City. It's Patrick Mahomes. I want to see them schematically have an answer for all of the things that the Eagles do better than them. I think when you talk about that Eagles front seven, that is advantage Eagles, but I would love to see Kansas City, through offensive scheme, outplay them and have their number, right? It's just where the game's headed nowadays, just offense. So for all these old heads to think that the Eagles are going to line up and bruise them, I would love to see Kansas City get cute, fancy, Patrick Mahomes throw the ball with his left hand. I want to see some fireworks in this game, and that's why I'm rooting for Kansas City.
All right, well, there you go. Stone Labanowitz giving it his all there for Kansas City. My heart says Kansas City, but my gut tells me that the Eagles are going to find a way to be victorious in this game. And I hate to admit that, man. I just hate to admit the Eagles flying high and winning the Super Bowl. What's in the pipeline for you, man? What are you working on? What's coming up on FCS Nation Radio?
So FCS Nation Radio, we're posting an episode a month. Like I said about 5 minutes ago, we're focusing on the transfer portal. That's one thing that I think fans need to have an actual grip on, because there are going to be new players on your team that you aren't sure of. There's going to be a lot of FBS talent come creeping down, and the fact that we have to decide what schools they're choosing and why, right? Because that's going to define who's a contender. We've seen Incarnate Word, who we thought once they lost Lindsey Scott was going to fall off. No, they've reloaded. I think they have a better roster now than they did even with Lindsey Scott right now. So trying to keep an eye on the transfer portal. Me and co-host Kevin Marshall are just trying to get an eye for what's going on out in the landscape right now. North Dakota State picked up a new coach from Southern Illinois. Got a chance to speak to him. So we'll pump it out on an episode a month, just as much broad stuff from the FCS that we can.
A final question for you with NDSU, with some of those changes and new coaches, what are your early expectations and what do you foresee with the Bison coming up this fall?
So I think you guys are, I don't want to say used to getting disrespected, but in the past few seasons, that's what it's felt like. And I think with the amount of kids that have transferred out and the amount of shakeups on the staff and how you guys lost our national championship game, I'm scared of you guys coming into the season. This is not, you never want to poke the bear. You never, especially the bear that won 9 of the past 12 national championships. So I think you guys play with a chip on your shoulder, and I think everybody who's going to underestimate you guys is going to get slapped in the mouth pretty early on in the season, because I think you guys come out with vengeance. I think you guys shake things up offensively and defensively with all the kids gone. You're going to see a lot of young kids in the lineup, so I'm excited for that. I think you guys are going to be a problem again next season.
All right, well, you've heard it here first from Stone Labanowitz, friend of Bison 1660. You can catch him on FCS Nation Radio, also on air at ESPN West Palm. Find him on Twitter at LABANOWITZ Stone. Again, Stone, appreciate you, man. Looking forward to catching up with you again soon, and as always, you're welcome on anytime.
Hey, I appreciate you, Rob. Say what up to the boys for me.
Again, Stone Labanowitz there on the Epic Companies hotline. Appreciate him. Had a chance to catch up with him over the FCS National Championship and talking about Super Bowl. That's Super Bowl heavy week. And Kyle, I'll throw the question at you like I threw to him. One of the questions, he said that not either really team needed this more than the other, but I kind of disagree. I think when I look at what team really needs to win this Super Bowl more, the Eagles or the Chiefs, in my opinion, it's the Chiefs. We mentioned this yesterday. Been to 5 AFC championships, been to the Super Bowl 3, won one of those. I think the pressure's on them. They've got to perform.
I agree 100%. I mean, you look at the Eagles, and they're, people were questioning if Jalen Hurts is a franchise quarterback before this year started. You have a head coach that's only in his second year. They basically completely blew up this roster a year after, going back to Carson Wentz's days with the Eagles. After they won that Super Bowl, they gave it one more year, and then they kind of just blew it up. They get rid of Carson, they get a new head coach, and yet they find themselves back here already in the Super Bowl. It seems pretty quick, to be honest, and I don't know, I don't think they had the expectations. Going into this year, I don't know if people were saying the Eagles were going to be in the Super Bowl. I don't remember that. I know they had a really good offseason. They traded for A.J. Brown. I think they had a good draft. But I just don't think the expectations were there. I think this is a bonus Super Bowl, in my opinion, for the Eagles if they can get this done. Like you said, Rob, you look at the Chiefs, and you got to start talking. I mean, everyone already talks about Patrick Mahomes as possibly the greatest quarterback ever, at least from a talent standpoint. Obviously, his resume is not there yet in terms of winning Super Bowls. Tom Brady will have that probably for a while, maybe forever. But like you got to start looking at his legacy and Andy Reid's. And like you mentioned, they had 5 straight AFC championships all at home. You make it to the Super Bowl 3 times. If you lose this one again, now people start questioning it a little bit. Are they just built to get to the Super Bowl, but they can't get it done? Now, I kind of agree with Stone a little bit. Like I don't know what the narrative is going to be if the Chiefs do lose. I mean, the fact that they've had such sustained success, and it feels like they'll be right back there again probably next year, or at least have a chance. So like I don't think this window is closed yet. But it's starting to, right? Like Travis Kelce's getting a little bit older. You already got rid of Tyreek Hill. Like Mahomes will be in his prime for a while, it feels like. But you got to start winning some of these Super Bowls. I know they have the one, but it just feels like from a legacy standpoint, I would point to the Chiefs, because the Eagles it feels like a bonus Super Bowl in my opinion.
Now the Chiefs' 3rd Super Bowl appearance in 4 seasons, last appearing in 2020. They won it in 2019, and for the Eagles, their 2nd Super Bowl appearance in 6 seasons. They last appeared in 1 in 2017. First time that these two teams are making it together to face off in a championship game. The Insider's brought to you by Proceed. Need seed? Think Proceed online at Proceed.net. We'll step aside, take a break. We'll talk a little men's and women's basketball. Back in action tonight. When we come back, we'll have those matchups and more on The Insiders.
Hear the herd here. Bison's 1660.
We take great pride in really doing all the research and the work behind the scenes to make sure that our products just work.
We have our own staff member that helps pick the hybrids and the varieties that work in our area. It's meant for you, not for somebody 200 miles away.
We test our seed locally. We produce our seed locally, so we get to see our production fields, where they need to be, and if they work there.
Need seed? Think Proceed. Proceed.net. Great seed at a reasonable price.
Shop the largest new vehicle inventory in the area, only at Corwin Auto. Corwin Auto has over 600 new vehicles available, and one of them can be yours. You heard me. Over 600 new cars, trucks, SUVs, and crossovers for you to choose from. With inventory like that, you don't have to settle. Find exactly what you are looking for. Have a trade? Get top dollar when you purchase any new in-stock or incoming unit. What are you waiting for? Head to any Corwin Auto location today, or shop online, CorwinAuto.com.
Theraldson Ethanol, the ethanol plant located in Castleton, is accepting applications for a process operator. Work 4 days on, 4 days off, night and day swing shifts. Applicant must have a general understanding of process and operating procedures and a willingness to learn procedures for the ethanol industry. Theraldson Ethanol offers on-the-job training and an excellent benefits program. Email your resume to hr@theraldsonethanol.com or apply in person at 3549 153rd Avenue Southeast in Castleton.
Bison Nation, there's plenty to get excited about this week at NDSU inside the Shill Center. Starting Thursday, February 9th, Bison men's basketball is hosting Omaha at 7 p.m. On Friday, the 13th-ranked Bison wrestling team battles Big 12 foe Oklahoma at 7 p.m. Then on Saturday, February the 11th, the men's basketball team is back for an afternoon tip at 1 p.m. versus the Denver Pioneers. Bison Athletics is the hottest ticket in town this winter. For tickets, visit GoBison.com, call 231-NDSU, or buy at the door the day of the event.
Dakota Refrigeration, now known as DRI, has been serving Minnesota, the Dakotas, and Montana for over 4 decades. Locally owned and operated since 1974, DRI is a full-service source for your refrigeration, heating, ventilation, air conditioning, and electrical service needs. From the entryway to the kitchen, from hot to cold, from dreary to bright, DRI has you covered. DRI, formerly Dakota Refrigeration, with locations in Fargo, Bismarck, and Minot, online at DACREF.com.
What do concussions, sports injuries, post-COVID long hauler, and chronic pain all have in common? Inflammation. At Healing with Hyperbarics, we are treating your inflammation the natural way with 100% oxygen, no referral needed, same-day appointments, and weekend availability. Now is the time to let us help you heal. Check us out on our website, healingwithhyperbarics.com, or on Facebook. Healing with Hyperbarics is your one-stop shop for total body wellness, conveniently located on 45th Street in Fargo.
You may not have heard, but the Insiders is now under new management.
Did you see the memo about this?
Here's Rob Hipp and Andy Rickoff.
And I'll go ahead and make sure you get another copy of that memo. Okay?
On Bison 1660.
Back at it here on the Insiders on a Thursday. Rob Hipp, Kyle Emanuel, and Micah Bendy joining us in studio as always. Theraldson Ethanol, proud partner of Summit Carbon Solutions, helping to reduce the carbon footprint by capturing, transporting, and permanently storing CO2 emissions, cutting carbon intensity in half. Again, thank you for joining us here. And as always, we're live from the Tharaldson Ethanol Broadcast Center. You can text us on the Epic Companies hotline or call us at 701-476-1660. Again, that number 701-476-1660. Also, the Rick Electric email inbox open at studio@bison1660.com. NDSU women's basketball is on the road here over the next few days. Andy Rickoff is already out there with the women as they are taking to Omaha and then on the road at Denver. Action getting underway at Omaha tonight. Tip officially scheduled for 7:05 p.m. Andy Rickoff will have that call. Pregame starting 30 minutes prior right here on Bison 1660. And then at Denver on Saturday. Women right now, they are hoisting a 14-8 overall record, 8-4 in Summit League play, 9-1 at home, just 4-7 on the road though. And coming off of a loss, trying to get back into that win column. A tough go of it versus South Dakota back at the Shill Center here this past Saturday. They were up early, but South Dakota State, I said South Dakota, I meant South Dakota State. They were up early against SDSU. Just weren't able to hold on for the victory there. On the flip side for the men, they are back at home, coming off of 2 losses, trying to get back into that win column as well, as they will face Omaha here at home tonight. Throwback Thursday. Micah, I know you can't get out there because you got to produce, but you're pretty disappointed because the first 100 fans or so, I believe they get that throwback lunch pail.
That's what I want. I want the throwback lunch pail, and I want some dents in it too. Like get a hammer to it and hit it a couple times. That way it looks used, and then give it to me.
I've never been like one to. Maybe I need to start like bring my. With this show from 11 to 1, I usually eat after the show, but I've just never been like into meal prep and all that and planning meals and everything. I found out, and it's good. I mean, people that do it, I think it's good, but I just don't get around to that, Kyle.
Maybe if you had that old school lunch pail, you would.
That's right, and that's where we're going with this. So if you show up, you get that lunch pail, you'll start bringing your lunch to work. Well, Omaha, they are 7-18 overall, 3-10 in Summit League. They're trying to get back into the wins column as well. They have lost 7 in a row. Frankie Fiddler, their leading scorer, 13.7 points per game. North Dakota State Bison, they have lost their last 2, 9-15 overall. Kind of hanging in the middle of the pack, and that's been the storyline for the last couple of weeks is you have Oral Roberts and then everybody else kind of grouped right behind ORU, fighting for positioning. Anything is wide open down these remaining 6 games or so. Again, the Bison 6-6, even 500 in Summit League. Grant Nelson has been that guy that's really turned on the juice, especially over the last few weeks, as he is among the best now in Summit League play, averaging just under 20 points, a league-leading 9.3 rebounds, and then a block and a half per game. Shooting, how about this, 57% overall in conference game. He's also the only player in Summit League this season to rank in the top 5 in scoring and field goal percentage. And, man, he has been a force.
I'll add some more data to what you just brought. He leads NDSU in Summit League play in every category: points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks.
He's got to be making a name for like Summit League. I know that we talk so much about Max Asmus, but I feel like Grant Nelson is that difference maker player. I just feel like without him on the floor, he's been that leader. And there's so many talented guys with Bison men's basketball, and there's been some struggles, and coaches talked about that on the coaches shows. But I feel like you don't have a guy like Grant Nelson on the floor, that greatly diminishes your chances. I think he is an X factor for this Bison men's basketball program.
Without a doubt, whenever he steps on the court, he's going to be an X factor. He's 6'11", he can handle the ball, he can shoot. That's why he's an NBA prospect, and that's why there's a lot of hype videos out on Grant Nelson, because he's breaking ankles and he's throwing some really nice dunks down, and he's making posters while he's at it.
Well, his ball handling, to me, it's like someone watching from the outside. Like for a guy his height, the way he can handle the ball. I mean, he looks like a 6'2" guard at times, and it's just, I know he's been described as a unicorn before, and he is. I mean, just some of the stuff that he can do at his height, you understand the hype. And yeah, he was going viral there for a while on Twitter, like some NBA something account was putting out highlights of him, and what he's been able to do, it's really fun to watch, and it's worth the price of admission, to say the least.
A lot of great guys on that squad: DWT, Damari Wheeler-Thomas, Jakari White. I think those guys, everyone's going to have to play their game tonight. You can't ever look at Omaha and say, hey, this is a team with a record that's not favorable this season, but they're coming in here. They are hungry. Of course, everybody's going to get to the tournament. Nobody wants to be in that play-in game, though. The final bottom 4 will be in the play-in games, and so that is where the positioning is. And Micah, looking forward to your shoot-around. We'll get started on the Fox an hour prior, 7 p.m. tip. You'll go on at 6 o'clock with the Micah Bindi shoot-around.
Yes, I will, and I have assistant coach Josh Jones on the docket again, so we'll interview him, his thoughts on just the season, the last couple of games, and then obviously the matchup here today with Omaha. We mentioned that if we learn anything from the Summit League regular season this year, it's that anybody can beat anybody, maybe outside of Oral Roberts. There is a 2-game difference between 3rd and 7th. If USD wins both their games and Western Illinois loses both their games, flip-flop. It's a mirror. It's going to be a lot of rising and falling in the last few weeks in the Summit League.
And I love that. That's what makes it exciting down the stretch, because there's still this who's who of who's going to be after ORU. And it just makes it really fun to stay engaged. If you're a fan, you've got to enjoy, of course you want your team to win, but if you're a fan of just trying to figure out how is postseason going to work, you're really loving this season because it's up for anybody. It's up for grabs right now.
We're set up for a really entertaining Summit League tournament. It's going to be your first Summit League tournament, so it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun down there in Sioux Falls.
Well, speaking of games, you can get to the Shill Center tonight to support the Bison. We will have that call again. Micah Benny going on an hour prior, 6 with shoot-around. I'll be on with Dexter Warner. Bison Great 6:30, and then tip-off happening at 7 o'clock. Theraldson Ethanol, again, are proud to partner with Summit Carbon Solutions, helping reduce the carbon footprint by capturing, transporting, and permanently storing CO2 emissions, cutting carbon intensity in half. This hour also made possible by our friends at the Hanson Runsville Funeral Home, dedicated to helping families look to the future with hope. And remember, what we do today shapes our memories for tomorrow. We wish the teams this year successful seasons and the community that cheers them on a great time with family and friends. That's Hanson Runsville Funeral Homes, proud to support the Bison. We'll take caller number 5. Caller number 5 when we go to break for an opportunity to win a pair or 2 more tickets to the Omaha game tonight at the Shill Center. Again, caller number 5 at 701-476-1660, 701-476-1660. We've got 2 tickets coming your way. If you're caller number 5, we'll be back. More here on The Insiders.
Where the Bison roam. Bison 1660.
Hi, I'm Grant Nelson, NDSU Bison basketball player. Whether it's playing basketball or driving in my car, I want to do everything to the best of my ability, on the court and off the court. So when I'm in the car, I up my game with the Drive for Less program from Nodak Insurance. I could save up to 30% on my premium just for driving safely. To me, that's a slam dunk. Download the Nodak Insurance app today.
Businesses should know that Consolidated Communications has the only data center in the FM area that is SOC 2 certified. That means Consolidated has tested reliable systems in place to protect your valuable data. That's more important than ever with today's security concerns. Many business insurance companies require SOC certification at data storage facilities. You should work with a local data center that is SOC 2 certified. For scalable, cost-effective data center solutions for your changing business needs, go to consolidated.com/data center.
Are you an electrician? Are you looking for a change? JDP Electric is looking for commercial, industrial, and service electricians. JDP is looking for both journeyman and apprentice electricians. You could start your career today with a family-owned and operated business who's been serving our community for over 20 years. Full-time positions available with great pay and benefits. Call 701-232-1991 or email info@jdpelectric.net. Start your new tomorrow today. Come be a part of the JDP difference.
Happy St. Patrick's Day! It's back. Fargo's official St. Patrick's Day pub crawl presented by Bud Light.
Grab your friends and your green gear and head downtown March 11th for the official St. Patty's Day pub crawl.
Kickoff at 1 p.m.
Grab a passport at any of the participating bars and enjoy the St. Patty's Day specials.
Get your passport stamped at each location to receive the commemorative St. Patty's Day finisher medal at the Old Broadway.
Find all the details on Facebook.
Special thanks to the Bridges Apartments.
Happy St. Patrick's Day!
It's the St. Patrick's Day pub crawl presented by Bud Light.
Other value menus have burritos, maybe even nachos. But only Taco John's Valuist menu has the cheese-loving audacity to put nachos inside a burrito. With crunchy tortilla chips, creamy nacho cheese, and zesty sauces, our new Nacho Crunch burritos pack 2 melty faves into one. Try them with seasoned beef for just $2, or grilled chicken for $3. This might be our cheesiest menu ever. The Valuist menu, only at Taco John's. Bigger, bolder, better. Download our app, earn free food.
You work hard to make your house a home, and at Onyx Exteriors, we strive to make the outside of your home as warm and inviting as the inside. I'm Blake.
And I'm Ray, owners of Onyx Exteriors. We install the industry's top brands in seamless steel, wood, vinyl, specialty products, as well as gutters, windows, and doors.
And all at a great price. We personally work with you from the estimate to the installation to guarantee your satisfaction.
So whether it's a remodel or new construction, schedule a free estimate online at onyxnd.com.
Take us with you wherever you go with the Bison 1660 app, powered by Thunder Seed, first in the field. Now, back to the Insiders.
Welcome back to the Insiders on a Thursday as we head back down to Arizona. Our Fox Sports Radio correspondent back down there as always, Brandon Cristal. Brandon, been fun catching up with you throughout the week. How are things going since we talked to you last?
Well, I think right as we were talking yesterday, the commissioner had his State of the Union, and I wasn't that excited to check it out, but catching the stuff after the fact and a little bit of it in passing, it was nothing overwhelming, right? Like plenty of talk about diversity and it not being where it needs to be, but improvement at the corporate level, if you will, across the league with more diversity from roles like league presidents and management on the business side of teams. Still not where it needs to be coaching wise. One of the GMs hired, the GM for the Titans, obviously African-American, and Rand Carthen, that comes from San Fran. So there was a lot of that. There was player safety stuff. There was European expansion talk, or what will that look like, but nothing earth-shattering, because I don't think the league has too many pressing issues right now with their TV deals being settled here in the coming years. So there was a lot of that, and now there's kind of build-up as fans start to get into town here each day. Thursday it's way busier, plus the Waste Management Open's going on. Then Friday will be nuts, and you'll even have plenty of fans that will show up on Saturday hoping to get in to see their Chiefs or Eagles, or just fans that are already here just going to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, you've already alluded to kind of the next question, the Waste Management Phoenix Open getting underway, and a lot of crossover, I would suggest, going on with people there for the Super Bowl. More people go to that tournament, I believe, than any other. That crowd, though, I've heard gets a little rowdy at those golf tournaments.
Oh, it's unlike any tournament that you'll ever go to. And there's a chance I may sneak over there Friday afternoon or Saturday morning if I can swing it. I've got some friends that have asked me about it and said, do you want to go? Can you go? We might have an extra ticket for you. But I did go when the Super Bowl was here in 2012, I guess. Or, I'm sorry, 2014, rather. 2014 season when, of course, Russell Wilson and the Seahawks just handed the ball to Marshawn Lynch. We also had the Waste Management Open at that same time. And so I went out to it, and you're right. It's unlike anything in golf. They're loud, they're rowdy, they're drunk. And I'm not saying they're drunk at other tournaments, but they aren't loud. And that 17th hole is pretty iconic just for that. And the Bird's Nest out there with big concerts. Jason Aldean's playing tonight, and there's a different artist every night. So it's really cool to be a part of that, or to be able to attend that event. And then obviously the final round Sunday, I think they try to end it in time to get out of the way of the Super Bowl, but there are people that are going to try to double dip. That feels like a big day. I don't think you're going to get to see the winner, but maybe you can do both at the same day. And so you went to a golf tournament and the Super Bowl all on the same calendar day.
Again, we're talking to Brandon Cristal, our Fox Sports Radio correspondent down in Arizona. I asked you kind of a similar question a few days ago, but just pertaining more to this, as far as the atmosphere of this game being held in Arizona, is there anything that really stands out about this Super Bowl as far as the location this year and how it is there in AZ?
I don't want to sound too complainy, if that's a word, but as nice as the folks in Arizona are, and they've hosted this event pretty forward, and it's been well executed, they don't seem to care that much that the media's here, I guess. So it feels like we're being slighted from a media standpoint a little bit in terms of the food they give us. Sometimes they spoil the heck out of us. There's been none of that, but in general, it's been fine. They can handle it well. There are parts of Scottsdale, of course, that can get a little crowded. Traffic can be a little dicey at times, but the folks are welcoming. So I don't want to make it sound like that, and they are excited the Super Bowl's here. I'll be curious to see how quickly it comes back to Phoenix. Also, the stadium in Glendale is not close to anything. So there's that, too. And these are all little complaints, right? You get to cover the Super Bowl and go to it. So I'm not really complaining. It's more just pointing out things that are easier in other cities, right? New Orleans, everything's downtown for the most part, right there near or around the French Quarter. And you just don't have that here. Vegas, everything will be contained for the most part within the confines of the Strip. And so we'll see how that is executed next year. But I think Phoenix, they do fine. I just was expecting a few more hospitality items, I suppose.
Well, BK, just last couple of questions here. You mentioned some of the fanfare, some of the celebrities yesterday, of course, with the Waste Management happening. Have you seen any celebrities yet that maybe you wouldn't expect to be there?
Well, the Justin Thomas thing at Media Night certainly was.
Okay.
I'm always fascinated. Like, Dana White was here yesterday, and he's always wanting to promote UFC fights. But, like, Seth Rollins from the WWE was walking around. And it's like the WWE certainly has plenty of crossover fanship, right, with football fans that are wrestling fans. But I don't know what he's gaining out of being here unless he's promoting a product. And best I can tell, he wasn't. Because you'll see people walk around promoting a product, and you're like, okay, they're here for Sharpie, whatever, right, or Gatorade, or whomever it is. And he was just kind of walking around. He's wearing a cool jacket. To that end, too, I talked to Sugar Sean O'Malley, who's one of the best UFC fighters right now. I asked him, I go, what are you doing here? And he said, he lives here. So he just came down to do some interviews. I talked to Carrot Top as well. And Carrot Top now has the longest running show in Vegas. And so I interviewed him in front of 2 Carrot Top posters by the Vegas welcome sign, because the next year host committee always comes to like get people excited about next year's Super Bowl. So I can't swear that I've never seen Carrot Top here, but I don't remember seeing him here. So it's, I guess, good that he's still out and about and doing stuff. But Thursday into Friday is really when it gets the craziest in and around the media center in terms of people that you might see. And you have so many athletes that are getting into the media, former athletes, or that are in the media while they're playing. The Kelsey brothers on Tuesday night taped their podcast here at the media center. Jason and Travis left their team hotels, came down here, and taped their podcast right around 6 o'clock Mountain Time. So you see stuff like that that's fun and different and new, and I think that's what's great about Super Bowls. Every year you see something new or different that you haven't seen before.
BK, appreciate you. Final question. Yeah, I'm from Texas, man. I'm a big Cowboys fan, so there's always been that hate for the Eagles. And I know that's a strong word, but as fans, you're allowed to hate opposing teams. How are those Philly fans acting? Are they over rowdy? Have you experienced any of those wild Philly fans yet?
Not yet, but I anticipate it. And having been to games there, actually to watch the Cowboys twice, because I grew up in Dallas, and when I lived in New York, would go down there for Eagles games. I was at the game Terrell Owens broke his leg, actually, in Philly. But their fans certainly can be not only rambunctious, but flat out rude. I think we might see some of it, but at the same time, it's not affordable to come out here and just hang out at the Super Bowl, right? It costs money. So presumably, and there's plenty of people with money that can be jerks. There's been a lot of Chiefs fans that I've seen. Certainly at media night, there were more Chiefs fans than Eagles fans. And I think there's folks from Kansas City that end up in Phoenix maybe more than folks like Chicago, Kansas City, St. Louis has folks that retire down here, move down here. Whereas I feel like Philly and Jersey and New York type fans end up in Florida more. So I'll be fascinated to see what it looks like on the weekend. But there are definitely Philly fans around. I'm sure we'll see Kevin Hart and see if he can get on the stage this time if the Eagles do win. But Philly fans haven't been too out of control yet, but we're just getting towards the weekend now.
All right. Well, we appreciate it. We'll check up with you again soon. Appreciate all the great work you're doing down there, and looking forward to this big Super Bowl game coming up. Again, it is Brandon Cristal there. You can find him on Twitter at BK Denver Sports. Thanks a lot, Brandon. Appreciate you, man.
Hey, thanks so much. I really appreciate it. Look forward to talking to you again tomorrow.
Been great catching up with Brandon all week, our Fox Sports radio correspondent down in the Glendale, Phoenix area for the big game coming up on Sunday. We'll step aside, take a break. We'll wrap it up here on The Insiders when we come back.
You're listening to The Insiders on your home for NDSU sports. Bison 1660.
Hanson Runsvold Funeral Home proudly supports the Bison and appreciates the commitment each student makes to its success. Whether in the arts or other campus activities, these students are our country's future and deserving of our support. Hanson Runsvold is dedicated to helping families look to the future with hope and remember what we do today shapes our memories for tomorrow. Add the Bison experience and live life to the fullest. Hanson Runsvold Funeral Home, an experienced and caring staff with a distinct attention to detail.
Hey, business owners, you have your banker, you have your insurance guy, but do you have your door guy? Now you do. DavTech Window Services also specializes in commercial door and window repair and replacement. DavTech is proud to be known for their excellent commercial services as on the NDSU campus. Choose the door and window experts that will deliver top-rated products as well as the experienced technicians that do it right the first time. A decade of service with a century of experience. Online at DavTechWindowServices.com. That's DavTechWindowServices.com.
Golf Addiction has it all. A full-service bar with great food and the industry's best golf simulators. And right now, they have the best golf deals. Check out the 2, 3, 4 deals Sunday through Thursday from 8 to 5 at Golf Addiction. Play 2 hours of golf for only $50, 3 hours just $75, and 4 hours of golf for only $100. Grab your friends and get golfing again at Golf Addiction and enjoy discounted golf, your favorite cocktails, cold beer, and food, all at Golf Addiction, your indoor virtual golf bar and grill.
About a month ago, we had some unexpected plumbing issues. We called Valley Service Mechanical in a panic and were pleasantly surprised with a professional that came to our rescue. He took the time to explain the issues to us, and you could really tell he enjoyed what he was doing and the pride he had representing Valley Service Mechanical.
When your heating and cooling needs help and your plumbing is on the fritz, call Valley Service Mechanical, 701-293-5701. Online at valleyservice.net.
Shop the largest new vehicle inventory in the area, only at Corwin Auto. Corwin Auto has over 600 new vehicles available, and one of them can be yours. You heard me. Over 600 new cars, trucks, SUVs, and crossovers for you to choose from. With inventory like that, you don't have to settle. Find exactly what you are looking for. Have a trade? Get top dollar when you purchase any new in-stock or incoming unit. What are you waiting for? Head to any Corwin Auto location today or shop online, corwinauto.com.
Invest in your community with Epic Companies. Hey, this is Mac. Have you been looking to diversify your portfolio and dive into real estate? We offer multiple types of investing through our mixed-use buildings and entertainment plazas. If you are an accredited investor and interested in hearing more about the investment process and how you can be part of enhancing the quality of life in the area, visit epiccompaniesnd.com to review our investment options. That's epiccompaniesnd.com.
The place you go for all your Bison news first. You've got the insiders right here on Bison 1660.
Welcome back here on the Insiders as we wrap it up on a Thursday. Thirsty Thursday for some.
Rob's thirsty?
I drink a lot of water during the show. Like every break, I get up and fill up this water bottle. It's good, though.
Thirsty means something new now.
It does.
Doesn't mean
H2O.
That you want water.
That's right.
A little bit of different liquid.
Speaking of thirsty and things that are here in the Theraldson Ethanol Broadcast Center, I am looking at a 24-pack of Bud Light, some NDS, and they're all closed, by the way. There's some NDSU glasses, 4 of them, and a $100 gift card, Sicky's Cash. You have a chance to win it. It's our Super Sunday giveaway. Again, all those items, $100 in Sicky's Cash, case of Bud Light, 4 NDSU glasses. All you have to do, friends, is text the word football, 701-476-1660. Send that text in, football, 701-476-1660. That will enter you for a chance to win this Sunday, Super Sunday giveaway. We'll announce that at the end of the show tomorrow. Well, I promised you that we'd wrap up with a little news about the NBA. We were pretty heavy in on the front end yesterday, and wanted to make sure that we talked because there was some big movements that are happening overnight. The Suns have landed Kevin Durant in a stunner. This happened late last night. Brooklyn Nets agreed to trade superstar Kevin Durant. We know he's been wanting out of there for a while, to the Phoenix Suns. It is something that's shaking the power of balance in both conferences. Some of the details here, and this, by the way, coming in from our friends at The Athletic. Phoenix sending 4 first-round picks, Kyle Bridges, Jay Crowder, Cam Johnson, additional draft compensation to Brooklyn for Durant and T.J. Warren. The Suns are all in under new owner Matt Ishaba, who assumed power over the franchise just this week. He immediately okayed a complete overhaul of the roster. The Nets, they went from title contender to rebuilder in a week's time. So Durant's gone. Kyrie Irving. Brooklyn has a boatload of draft picks that they're going to have to figure out a way to retool now, making plenty of sense. But to me, it was a surprise. I don't know if I'd call it mind-blowing as the Athletic, the article they put out. I don't know if it's really mind-blowing because we see so many things happen in the NBA and throughout the sports world now, but it did come as a big surprise. I knew that KD wanted out, but I didn't know it was going to happen in this way.
We need to give a big salute to the biggest failure in a while for a super team That was a huge failure that the Nets had. You acquire Kyrie Irving, you acquire Kevin Durant, and then you try James Harden there. That doesn't work. And then they try and replace him with Ben Simmons. That still doesn't work. Then you get rid of Kyrie, and maybe you think, oh, KD and Ben Simmons, blah, 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 blah. Nope, they're getting rid of it all. So what a failed experiment that was. Phoenix, I don't know. They haven't done anything. They made the finals, but I don't know. I just feel like they lack leadership. They don't have that dog in them. They don't have that in Phoenix. They just are kind of like Memphis, where they expect everyone to keep praising them, but they haven't really done a whole ton. So I don't know. That doesn't really change much for me. Kevin Durant is obviously really talented, on the way down in his prime, I would say, but he's still an elite scorer. I don't know. I'm not a big believer in this.
Well, now the challenge is obviously they have all that talent there in Phoenix now with Devin Booker and Chris Paul, and you got all this talent, but you have to try and mesh that talent during the season with 20, 30 games left. Can you do that? Can you do that in time to when you get into the playoffs where everyone's synced up? And obviously with the amount of talent, you would think that they have a chance there. But yeah, I was a little surprised by this. I know in the offseason, Kevin Durant wanted to trade, right? He made that obvious. It didn't happen. And I heard some talk after the Kyrie trade that now the Nets were like, I think there was even a headline there put out by ESPN that like, okay, now the Nets front office is including Kevin Durant in their future plans. Like they're going to try and maybe build some stuff around him and let him have some input on some of the decisions. And then overnight, bam, you wake up, the entire NBA world woke up and he's gone. And you could see some of the reaction. Like some people were surprised by this. Current NBA players are like, what did I just wake up to? So it was a little bit of a surprise because now obviously the Nets, like we said, we were just talking in the break, Michael, like that was probably, I mean, in this super team era, that was the biggest flop that there've been. They didn't even play together half the time for a number of reasons, but they didn't even play together. And when they did, just they didn't produce on the court. It just didn't happen.
Well, that's the way it works out. I think the Suns now, they kind of immediately go to a title or bust mode. They've had some success, but they have an opportunity now to, hey, go out and grab a title legitimately, and we'll see if it can happen. You've got Kevin Durant, Chris Paul, Devin Booker. The only worry with these guys, their health. Can they stay healthy? And when you think of a guy like Kevin Durant, who's still extremely relevant, obviously through this trade, of course, but we were mentioning this yesterday during a break, and it takes me back because the word Seattle Supersonics popped into my head. And I was like, Kevin Durant went to Seattle, and of course they went to Oklahoma City. Yep. And it's just crazy to think a guy in the league, and it seems like that happened 20 years ago. Of course it didn't, but that's how long ago it seems.
Feels like 30 years ago.
Feels like a long time ago.
The last time the Sonics were a team, it feels like forever ago. But yeah, Durant was drafted there. Was it 1 year, though? It wasn't very long that he played there until he became the Thunder.
Yeah, I'm not sure how many years it was technically still the Seattle Supersonics with KD on it.
You know what? The other thing I found interesting, and maybe I've missed this in the NFL, but like I feel like the value of draft picks is just not the same in the NBA. Like you're willing to give up 4 draft picks. Now I know, like we just said, Kevin Durant, very good player, but he's on the down slope of his career, right? Like he's probably a little bit past his prime, still really good, but like he's on, like, so like you said, Rob, like this to me feels like, all right, we need to get a title in the next 2 to 3 years. Like it's title or bust. It's got to happen right now. You're giving up 4 first-round draft picks to me, but I just think I pay attention more to football, but like it just feels like in football that's giving up a ton. 4 first-round draft picks. Like I don't think many teams would do that unless it's just an absolute stud. Like maybe for Mahomes, right? If someone was willing to they'd probably give up 4 first-round draft picks for Mahomes. But outside of that, I don't think many teams are doing that.
Well, basketball is, go ahead, Micah.
The thing with the NBA is it's protected first.
But these are unprotected, I believe.
From what these are unprotected, I saw protected.
4 unprotected first-round picks.
Okay,
2028 pick swap.
Unprotected. Then that's
completely unprotected.
Yeah. When we're talking about protected or unprotected, right? That means like you could say like, oh, top 10 protected, top 5 protected, right. Top 3. But now that they're unprotected, they could be the number 1 overall pick, and that could go to the Brooklyn Nets now, since it's unprotected. So that is a lot for unprotected for a guy that is in his mid-30s. Getting up there a little bit.
So they must be thinking like, oh, these first-round picks are all going to be towards the back end. Like we're going to be winning titles or at least competing for a title, so you're going to get like pick 26.
One thing that is the difference, Kevin Durant, is he going to be the bus driver of this team or is he the bus rider? That's the key, because when he was in Golden State, well, Steph is the bus driver in Golden State. He's the guy.
And it worked out
now,
for him.
how do you take Devin Booker's been there for years. He's drafted by Phoenix. How are you taking the keys away from Devin Booker when it's always been his team? Now it's about sharing the ball, sharing the responsibility, and sharing the blame, frankly, if games don't go the way that they want them.
The only way it works when you have two somewhat in charge. I mean, there's always someone in charge in an airplane. You have a pilot and a co-pilot, and there is a stick in each seat just in case if that pilot having an issue, the co-pilot can take over. Doesn't work that way in the NFL or the NBA. And you know, with me, of course, I keep up with things. I have to. It's part of what we do here and bringing you the information. But I just feel like, man, the fanfare for me in the NBA, and I'm a huge basketball fan by far. I mean, I love basketball, huge Spurs fan back in the day. But I feel like when COVID hit, it just took a lot of air. And I know it took the air out of a lot of stuff, but I just haven't been as in tune. And I keep up with it, but I just haven't had that hunger like I had because things got so stale with basketball. I remember watching the games and there was no audience, and it was just like even baseball. And it's taken a while, but those batteries are starting to recharge a little bit. But hopefully things will continue to move and rock and roll for these teams. Also, know we talked about Kevin Durant, but the Lakers, Jazz, and T-Wolves, they also agreed to a massive trade yesterday. Should help Los Angeles with their playoff hopes. And how many times have you had to go back over the last 10, 15, 20 years and say playoff hopes for Los Angeles? Well, that's the situation that they're in. The Lakers are going to get D'Angelo Russell, Malik Beasley, and Jared Vanderbilt. The Jazz will get Russell Westbrook. Never thought I'd see him in a Jazz uniform. And then a first-round pick. And then the T-Wolves are getting Mike Conley Jr., Nickeil Alexander-Walker. They'll also get Toscano Anderson and then Damian Jones and multiple draft picks. All these trades, very complex. You can't really evaluate them for years, like what we saw with Brooklyn. We thought, this is going to be massive. We saw how that firestorm worked out. But maybe some immediate impacts. The Lakers getting some shooting help they needed in Russell, 39% of his threes this year. Defense has been a little suspect, so Zach may give them a little bit better there for that. Utah adding more draft capital. They'll likely buy out Westbrook. So we'll see how these work. It takes a few years, but we'll see how things ultimately work out in the wonderful world of the NBA and trades.
I'm a fan of Russell Westbrook, actually. I like the way he plays. I like how he always plays hard, and I feel bad for him a little bit because he willingly took a back seat. He's like, fine, I'll come off the bench for the Lakers. And he did that. He sacrificed a starting spot when he's a starter on any NBA team. He is. He always brings energy. He's one of the hardest workers. He's an athletic freak. Yeah, you can make fun of how he's not always a great shooter, but he's always putting in the effort out there, and that's not what makes you a great NBA player, but he's an outstanding NBA player because of his athleticism. And I like following Russell Westbrook, and if he's a guy that you just give him the ball, he'll create for you, and he'll get in the lane, and if you have just a lot of good role players around him, a lot of good shooters, he can be like LeBron and being attacking the rim the entire game and then just feeding or finishing.
Well, that's what he did in Oklahoma City, right? Like that's why he wasn't like 2 or 3 straight years. He averaged a triple-double. I mean, he won an MVP, and I just saw a stat that's he's only the second player to ever win an MVP and then be traded 4 times in his career. And the other guy, I forget, Bob McAdoo, I believe it was, with the Lakers as well. So he was kind of the scapegoat in LA. Everyone wanted to blame everything. Oh, you got AD and you got LeBron and you're still not winning. Well, it must be Russell's fault. And I don't know if that's all fair or not. But either way, Lakers fan maybe got what they wanted. They wanted him gone, and now he is.
You can blame LeGM. LeGM trading players away.
LeGM trading them away. Been a fun one here today. Micah, Kyle, thank you guys as always. We're going to miss you, Kyle. You won't be in tomorrow. Colt Jurek will be here.
You didn't even get my Super Bowl prediction. I'll give it to you
really
quick.
It?
I think
Let's go.
I'm going with the Eagles.
Eagles.
They've been blowing teams. If it's a close game, I like the Chiefs, but if the Eagles can jump out to a lead, I like the Eagles.
All right, Eagles by how much?
Eagles by 10.
All right, Eagles by 10. Wow, Kyle Emanuel throwing it down. Want to remind you, $100 Sicky's Cash, case of Bud Light, 4 NDSU glasses. Text football to 701-476-1660. Also, got 2 more tickets I want to give away to you. You're going to learn about that in a second. But first, tomorrow, Cole Jurek. Nick Wagner, he's an NFL photographer from near this area. He will be on. And then Brandon Kristoff, Fox Sports Radio, joining us again. And poll of the day was in favor of the NFL Combine.
Yes, it does. It is a good way of seeing if prospects are possibly going to be good NFL players, according to the fans.
80% in favor, 20% no. 2 tickets to give away tonight. Also, get out there. I believe the FM Acro team will be there as well. All you got to do is be caller. Ooh, I'm going to be caller number. Look, that line's ringing before we even announce it. Caller number 7 will win tickets here tonight. 2 tickets to the Omaha game at the Shill Center. Men's basketball. 701-476-1660. Caller number 7. Again, 701-476-1660. That'll wrap it up. We'll see you next time. Horns up. Go Bison.
Hi, I'm Madison, and a doctor of physical therapy and bride-to-be, and I've got some important news to share with all of my fellow brides-to-be. The eGym at Apex is the best way I found